mysterious illness experienced by those guarding the Ark of the Covenant. Hidden within the ancient city of Axum in Ethiopia lies one of the most sacred and mysterious objects in human history, the Ark of the Covenant. According to Ethiopian Orthodox tradition, this powerful relic rests inside the chapel of the tablet at the Church of Our Lady Mary of Zion. It is said that only one man at any given time is permitted to stand watch over it, a chosen guardian monk who dedicates his entire life to protecting the artifact. Yet alongside this sacred duty comes a strange and deeply unsettling phenomenon, one that has led many to believe that the Ark possesses an energy unlike anything known in the modern world. The role of the guardian is both an honor and a burden. Once selected, the monk is separated from the outside world, living in quiet devotion within the chapel grounds. He is not permitted to leave, and his entire existence becomes centered around the Ark. Over time, however, a pattern has emerged that has captured the attention of observers and researchers alike. Many of these guardians begin to suffer from severe and unusual health issues, most notably affecting their eyes. Reports describe how, after years spent in close proximity to the Ark, the guardian monks often develop extreme visual deterioration. Their eyes become clouded, sometimes described as milky or opaque, as though something unseen has gradually altered their vision. In some accounts, the monks appear nearly blind, their sight reduced to shadows and faint outlines. This condition seems to develop despite the otherwise simple and controlled environment in which they live, raising questions about what could be causing such a consistent and dramatic effect. Those who believe in the Ark's extraordinary nature suggest that these symptoms are not coincidental. Instead, they interpret them as evidence of a powerful force emanating from the relic itself. Descriptions of the Ark throughout history often refer to it as a vessel of divine presence, associated with intense light, fire, and overwhelming energy. Some researchers have drawn comparisons between these accounts and the effects of exposure to unseen energetic forces, proposing that the Ark may emit something capable of affecting the human body over time. The idea of a radiant or energetic influence has led to speculation that prolonged exposure could result in symptoms similar to those experienced by the guardians. Eye damage, in particular, has been highlighted as a possible consequence, as the eyes are especially sensitive to certain forms of energy. The gradual loss of vision among the monks has therefore been interpreted as a physical manifestation of their proximity to something far beyond ordinary understanding. Despite these claims, the true nature of the Ark and its effects remains shrouded in mystery. The chapel itself is closed to outsiders, and the guardian is the only individual permitted to approach the relic directly. This secrecy has only deepened the intrigue, as there are few opportunities to study or verify the phenomenon. What is known comes primarily from observations and testimonies, each adding another layer to an already complex and mysterious story. For those who hold these beliefs, the condition of the guardian monks is seen not as a mere coincidence, but as a profound sign of the Ark's power. It is viewed as both a blessing and a cost, a reminder that some forces are not meant to be fully understood or approached without consequence. The massive 60-ton underwater structure hidden beneath the Sea of Galilee. Beneath the calm waters of the Sea of Galilee lies one of the most unusual and unexplained structures ever discovered, a massive stone formation that continues to puzzle researchers and historians alike. Hidden under approximately 30 feet of water, this enormous mound was first identified in the year 2003 during underwater surveys conducted in search of ancient remains. What was expected to be a routine scan of the lakebed quickly turned into something far more intriguing, as sonar imaging revealed a vast and carefully arranged structure unlike anything previously documented in the region. At first glance, the formation appeared to be a natural accumulation of stones. However, further analysis revealed that this was no random occurrence. The mound is composed of thousands of unhewn basalt rocks, deliberately stacked to form a massive cone-like shape. Weighing an estimated 60,000 tons and measuring a size that surpasses even well-known ancient monuments such as Stonehenge, the structure immediately raised questions about its origin and purpose. There are no carvings, no inscriptions, and no visible markers to explain who constructed it or why it was built, leaving only the physical presence of the stones as evidence of human activity. One of the most compelling aspects of this discovery is its location. Today, the mound rests beneath the surface of the lake, but it is widely believed that when it was originally constructed, the area was dry land. Over time, natural changes in water levels likely submerged the site, preserving it in a silent, underwater state. This suggests that the structure dates back to a time when ancient communities inhabited the region and possessed the ability to organize large-scale construction projects using heavy materials. The method of construction itself adds to the mystery. The basalt stones used to form the mound are not shaped or carved, yet they are arranged with clear intention. This indicates a level of planning and coordination that would have required significant effort and cooperation. Moving and stacking such large quantities of stone would have demanded both manpower and purpose, suggesting that the structure held considerable importance to those who built it. Various interpretations have been proposed to explain its function. Some researchers believe that the mound may have served as a communal burial site, similar to other ancient cairns found in different parts of the world. Its size and shape could indicate a place of significance, where rituals or ceremonies were performed. Others have suggested that it may have been part of a larger architectural complex, possibly used for gatherings or as a symbolic monument. There is also the possibility that it functioned as a form of landmark, guiding movement across the landscape when the area was still above water. Despite these theories, no definitive conclusion has been reached. The absence of artifacts or clear dating evidence has made it difficult to place the structure within a specific historical context. Without further excavation or detailed study, its origins remain uncertain, leaving researchers with only fragments of understanding. What makes this structure particularly fascinating is the way it challenges modern expectations of ancient societies. It stands as a reminder that there are still aspects of human history that have yet to be fully uncovered, hidden beneath layers of earth, water, and time. The mystery of the stone figures of Nukuhiva. The stone figures of Nukuhiva remain one of the most fascinating and mysterious discoveries in the Pacific Ocean, capturing the imagination of both researchers and visitors alike. Located in French Polynesia, Nukuhiva is the largest of the Marquesas Islands, a remote and rugged land known for its dramatic landscapes and deep cultural history. Among its valleys and ancient ceremonial sites stand a collection of unusual stone monuments that have puzzled observers for generations. These figures, often described as having large heads, wide eyes, and compact bodies, possess an appearance so distinctive that many believe they hold secrets about a forgotten chapter of human history. Most of these statues are found in an area known as Temehea Tohua, a small settlement that appears to have once been a place of great importance to the island's early inhabitants. Archaeological studies have suggested that the figures date back to a period between the 11th century and the 14th century, placing them firmly within the ancient era of Polynesian culture. Despite their age, the statues remain remarkably well preserved. Their surfaces still show intricate details, with only minimal signs of wear, suggesting that the creators possessed advanced knowledge of stone carving and material selection. The origins of the people who created these figures trace back even further. It is believed that the first settlers of Nukuhiva arrived approximately 2,000 years ago, journeying across vast ocean distances from western Polynesian regions such as Samoa. Over time, these settlers developed a thriving society, one that eventually grew to a large population. Historical accounts suggest that at one point, the island may have supported close to 100,000 inhabitants, creating both opportunity and challenge. With limited resources available, communities relied heavily on fishing and agriculture to sustain themselves, while also developing strong cultural traditions that shaped their identity. Central to the identity of Nukuhiva is a powerful creation story that has been passed down through generations. According to local belief, the god Ono once set out to build a home for his wife in a single day. Using earth and stone as his materials, he formed the Marquesas Islands, each one representing a different part of the house. Nukuhiva, the largest of these islands, came to symbolize the roof of this grand creation. This legend reflects the deep spiritual connection between the land and its people, a connection that is also believed to be expressed through the stone figures scattered across the island. The statues themselves, known locally as tikami, are thought to represent ancient deities or spiritual beings. Each figure appears to have served a specific purpose within the community. Some were associated with healing and blessings, while others were believed to offer guidance in decision-making or provide support in matters of the heart. Certain figures were seen as protectors, standing watch over the land and safeguarding it from unseen threats. This diversity in purpose suggests that the statues were not merely decorative, but played an active role in the spiritual and social life of the island. What makes these figures particularly mysterious is their unusual appearance. Unlike many other forms of Polynesian art, the Nukuhiva statues feature exaggerated proportions, with oversized heads and eyes that give them an almost otherworldly presence. Their bodies are often short and compact, with simplified limbs that contrast sharply with the detailed facial features. Some statues appear to wear carved garments, while others are depicted without clothing, possibly reflecting different artistic styles or symbolic meanings. The materials used in their construction further highlight the skill of their creators. Made from a combination of red clay and volcanic rock, the statues demonstrate a deep understanding of local resources. These materials were carefully shaped and assembled, resulting in figures that have withstood centuries of environmental exposure. The craftsmanship suggests a level of planning and precision that continues to impress modern observers. Despite the efforts of archaeologists and historians, the true meaning behind these statues remains open to interpretation. Some researchers believe they are simply an expression of a unique artistic tradition, one that developed independently within the Marquesas Islands. They point to similar forms found in other cultures, such as tiki statues and other ancient carvings, as evidence that such stylized representations were not uncommon in early societies. However, others have offered more unconventional explanations. Some observers have noted the statues' unusual features and suggested that they resemble beings not typically associated with human imagery. This has led to speculation that the figures may represent encounters with unknown visitors, with some even proposing that they depict beings from beyond the Earth. These ideas, while debated, continue to add to the intrigue surrounding the statues and contribute to their enduring mystery. Even today, the presence of the Tikami holds significance for some of the island's inhabitants. While many residents have adopted new belief systems over time, a number of individuals continue to view the statues as powerful symbols. They believe that the figures retain their spiritual energy and can influence the world around them, offering protection or guidance to those who approach them with respect. The mystery of Charles Chuck Morgan. The story of Charles Chuck Morgan stands as one of the most complex and unsettling mysteries to emerge from the American Southwest during the late 1970s. On the surface, Chuck appeared to live a quiet and ordinary life. At 39 years old, he resided in Tucson, Arizona, with his wife Ruth and their 4 daughters. He worked as an escrow agent, a profession that placed him in the background of major financial transactions, often dealing with sensitive information that required a high level of trust and discretion. To those around him, he seemed like a devoted family man, someone whose life revolved around work and home. Yet beneath that calm exterior, there were indications that Chuck may have been connected to something far more complicated and dangerous. On the 22nd of March 1977, Chuck followed what should have been a normal daily routine. He drove his daughters to school that morning, dropping them off as he had done many times before. According to reports, they were the last members of his family to see him that day. After leaving the school, Chuck was expected to head to work, but he never arrived. As the hours passed and evening came, his absence became increasingly concerning. When he failed to return home that night, it was clear that something was wrong, although it remains unclear whether authorities were formally notified at that exact time. For 3 days, Chuck seemed to vanish without a trace. There were no confirmed sightings, no communication, and no clear indication of where he might have gone. Then, in the early hours of the 25th of March, an unexpected and deeply unsettling event occurred. At approximately 2 o'clock in the morning, Ruth was awakened by the sound of the family dog barking. The noise was unusual enough to prompt her to get out of bed and investigate. When she opened the front door, she was met with a shocking sight. Chuck was standing there, but he was not the same man who had left days earlier. He appeared disheveled, exhausted, and visibly distressed. Hanging from his wrists were plastic handcuffs, and another set was attached to his ankle. One of his shoes was missing, adding to the strange and chaotic nature of his appearance. Perhaps most alarming of all was the fact that he could not speak. When Ruth tried to talk to him, he gestured toward his throat, indicating that something was wrong. Concerned and confused, Ruth asked if he could communicate in another way. Chuck nodded, and she quickly brought him a pen and paper. Through written notes, he explained that his throat had been coated with a substance that he described as capable of affecting his mind and body in severe ways. He claimed that it could drive him into madness or damage his nervous system. Chuck also wrote that he had been held near Sky Harbor Airport in Phoenix and had endured a traumatic experience during his absence. Ruth's instinct was to seek immediate help, but Chuck strongly opposed the idea. He insisted that contacting authorities would place their entire family in danger. Faced with this warning, Ruth made the difficult decision to care for him at home. Over the following days, she nursed him back to health as he slowly regained his ability to speak. During this time, Chuck continued to communicate through notes, revealing pieces of information that added to the growing mystery. Among the most startling claims he made was that he had been working for the federal government, specifically mentioning the Treasury Department. In one note, he wrote that his Treasury identification had been taken from him. He indicated that he had been involved in this work for approximately 2 to 3 years. This revelation came as a complete surprise to Ruth, who had never heard him mention anything of the sort. It suggested that Chuck may have been living a double life, balancing his role as an escrow agent with some form of covert activity. As Chuck recovered physically, his behavior became increasingly cautious and defensive. He began wearing a bullet-resistant vest at all times and carried a weapon wherever he went. He refused to allow his daughters to go anywhere alone, ensuring they were always accompanied when leaving the house. He also spoke to his father, telling him that if anything were to happen, he would leave behind a letter explaining everything, including those responsible. These actions painted a picture of a man who felt deeply threatened and believed that he was being watched or pursued. Despite these fears, life appeared to settle into a new routine for a short period of time. However, the sense of unease never fully disappeared. Then, on the 7th of June 1977, Chuck disappeared once again. That morning began like any other, with Ruth taking the children to school while Chuck prepared to go to work. Later in the day, he made a phone call to his office from a public payphone, stating that he would arrive within 30 minutes. This would be the last confirmed communication anyone had with him. Days passed with no sign of Chuck. The uncertainty surrounding his disappearance grew, and the situation became increasingly tense. Then, on the 14th of June, Ruth received a phone call that would add another layer of mystery to the case. The caller was a woman who identified herself only as Green Eyes. She asked for Ruthie, and upon confirmation, she delivered a cryptic message. She stated that Chuck was all right, and then referenced a passage from Ecclesiastes chapter 12, verses 1 through 8. The passage itself speaks of aging, fear, and the end of life, describing a time when the body returns to dust and the spirit returns to its source. The message was brief, yet deeply symbolic, leaving Ruth with a sense of dread and confusion. Before any further explanation could be given, the caller ended the conversation. Just days later, on the 18th of June, Chuck's body was discovered along a dirt road approximately 40 miles west of Tucson. He was found lying beside his vehicle, a Mercury Cougar. The scene was unusual in many ways. Chuck was still wearing the bullet-resistant vest he had relied on since his first disappearance. His holster and belt were also present, along with a concealed knife built into the buckle. Among the most puzzling items found at the scene was a $2 bill pinned to his clothing. On the back of the bill, a map had been drawn, pointing toward an area between Tucson and the Mexican border. On the front, several Spanish surnames were written, along with a reference to Ecclesiastes chapter 12. Arrows pointed to specific numbers within the bill's serial code, adding to the sense that the item held some kind of hidden meaning. Inside Chuck's vehicle, investigators found additional items that raised further questions. There were weapons, ammunition, and handcuffs, as well as a pair of sunglasses that did not belong to him. The vehicle itself had been modified in a way that allowed it to be unlocked from the fender, suggesting a level of preparation or customization that was not typical. A handwritten note, confirmed to be Chuck's, contained directions to the location where his body was found. Perhaps one of the most disturbing discoveries was made in the backseat of the car. A folded handkerchief was found, and when it was opened, it was revealed to contain one of Chuck's teeth. The significance of this detail has never been fully explained, but it added to the overall sense that something highly unusual had taken place. Investigators determined that Chuck had sustained a fatal wound from his own firearm, a .357 caliber Magnum. The weapon, along with the surrounding area, was completely free of fingerprints. Residue found on Chuck's hand led authorities to conclude that the event had been self-inflicted. Based on this evidence, the official ruling was that Chuck had taken his own life. However, this conclusion was met with skepticism by those who knew him best. Ruth refused to accept that he would have chosen such an end, especially given the precautions he had taken to protect himself and his family. Journalist Don Devereaux also questioned the ruling, noting that the circumstances did not align with what would typically be expected in such a situation. Further information emerged when Green Eyes contacted authorities, confirming that she had been the one to call Ruth. She claimed that Chuck had met with her at a motel and showed her a briefcase containing a large sum of money. According to her account, Chuck believed that the money would allow him to resolve a contract placed on him, which he claimed was increasing in value each day. This suggested that Chuck believed he was in serious danger and was attempting to find a way out. Investigations into Chuck's professional activities revealed connections to individuals and organizations involved in organized crime. At the time, Arizona's laws allowed for anonymous property ownership through escrow arrangements, making it an attractive location for financial operations that were difficult to trace. Chuck's role as an escrow agent placed him in direct contact with these transactions, potentially exposing him to significant risk. It was also discovered that Chuck had been involved in a land fraud investigation and had provided testimony related to financial dealings at a bank in Arizona. This testimony reportedly took place in May of 1977, just weeks before his final disappearance. The timing raised questions about whether his involvement in these matters had contributed to the events that followed. Adding to the mystery, two individuals claiming to be federal agents appeared at Ruth's home shortly after Chuck's passing. They conducted a thorough search of the property, appearing to look for something specific, but their identities were never confirmed. Official sources later denied any knowledge of such an operation, leaving their presence unexplained. In the months and years that followed, additional events connected to the case added to its complexity. Individuals who had been investigating or connected to Chuck's activities experienced troubling incidents of their own, creating an atmosphere of uncertainty and concern. Decades later, the story of Charles Chuck Morgan remains unresolved. The official conclusion stands, yet many continue to believe that it does not fully account for the evidence and circumstances surrounding his case. His life, marked by secrecy, fear, and unanswered questions, serves as a reminder that some mysteries remain beyond clear explanation. For Ruth and her family, the loss was never fully understood. They continued to believe that Chuck had been drawn into something far greater than himself, something that ultimately led to his disappearance and the events that followed. Even now, his story continues to captivate those who seek to understand what truly happened, standing as one of the most enduring mysteries of its time. The mystery of the Mirny diamond mine. Deep within the vast and frozen wilderness of Siberia lies one of the most mysterious and awe-inspiring locations on Earth, the Mirny diamond mine. Surrounded by endless forests and harsh, unforgiving terrain, the small town of Mirny stands as the only visible sign of human presence for miles in every direction. The town itself is modest, with only a handful of full-time residents living in elevated homes designed to withstand the seasonal melting of the permafrost beneath them. At first glance, Mirny appears to be just another remote settlement shaped by the extreme conditions of northern Russia. However, at its center lies something extraordinary: a colossal open pit that stretches more than 1,000 feet deep and over half a mile across, a vast chasm that has both fascinated and unsettled observers for decades. The origins of this enormous structure date back to the mid-20th century, during a time when the Soviet Union was determined to rebuild and strengthen its industrial capabilities following the devastation of the Second World War. In 1955, a team of Soviet geologists working in eastern Siberia made a groundbreaking discovery. While examining the region's soil, they identified kimberlite, a type of rock known to contain diamonds. This discovery set into motion one of the most ambitious mining projects in history. By 1957, orders were given to construct a massive open-pit mine at the site, with the goal of making it the most productive diamond source in the world. The challenges faced during construction were immense. Siberia's ground is dominated by permafrost for much of the year, remaining frozen solid for at least 7 months. When the warmer months arrived, the frozen ground would soften into unstable slush, making construction extremely difficult. Temperatures during winter could drop to around 40 degrees below zero, conditions so severe that machinery struggled to function, with oil freezing and materials becoming brittle. Despite these obstacles, the engineers persisted. They used jet engines to thaw the frozen ground, protective coverings to shield equipment from the cold, and controlled blasts to break through the dense layers of earth. Through determination and innovation, they succeeded in creating one of the largest open-pit mines ever seen. By 1960, the Mirny diamond mine was fully operational, and its productivity quickly exceeded expectations. Throughout the 1960s, the mine produced millions of carats of diamonds each year, with a significant portion classified as high-quality gemstones. At its peak, the yield was astonishing, with several carats extracted from each ton of ore. Among its many discoveries was an exceptionally large yellow diamond weighing over 300 carats, one of the most remarkable finds in the country's history. Over time, the mine generated billions of dollars worth of diamonds, contributing significantly to the global supply. As the mine's output grew, it began to attract attention from the international diamond industry. Some observers found the reported production levels difficult to believe, especially given the mine's size compared to other operations around the world. Representatives from major diamond companies sought to understand how such a site could produce such extraordinary quantities. When a request was made to visit the mine, approval took several years, and even then, access was limited to a brief and tightly controlled tour. This secrecy only deepened the mystery surrounding the site, leaving many to speculate about what truly lay beneath the surface. The mine continued to operate for decades, even after the political landscape of the region changed. However, in 2004, operations at the open pit were suddenly halted. Official explanations suggested that the mine had reached a depth where further extraction was no longer practical and that flooding had made continued work too dangerous. While these reasons were accepted by some, others questioned whether there might be more to the story, given the long history of secrecy surrounding the site. Today, the Mirny diamond mine stands abandoned as an open pit, its immense depth and scale creating an almost surreal presence in the landscape. Despite its inactivity, it remains a place of caution and intrigue. The airspace above the mine is restricted due to a unique and dangerous phenomenon. The interaction between cold air at the surface and warmer air rising from the depths creates powerful air currents, forming a vortex capable of pulling in objects from above. Reports have described helicopters and other aircraft experiencing sudden downward forces when flying too close, adding to the mine's reputation as a place of hidden danger. In the years following its closure, ambitious ideas have been proposed for the site's future. One concept envisioned transforming the massive pit into a self-contained city, complete with solar-powered structures and space for thousands of residents. While these plans captured the imagination, they have yet to be realized, leaving the mine in its current state as a silent monument to its extraordinary past. The mystery of the Mirny diamond mine lies not only in its immense scale and productivity, but also in the unanswered questions that continue to surround it. From its improbable output to the secrecy that limited outside access, the mine has become a symbol of both human ingenuity and enduring curiosity. The mystery of Brian Jones. The mystery surrounding Brian Jones remains one of the most talked about and puzzling stories in music history, a case that has continued to spark debate and intrigue for decades. On the 3rd of July in 1969, Brian Jones, a founding member of one of the most influential bands of the 20th century, was found lifeless in the swimming pool of his countryside home, Cochford Farm, in East Sussex. He was just 27 years old. While the official explanation described his passing as a tragic accident, the details surrounding that night have never fully aligned, leaving behind a lingering sense that something far more complicated may have taken place. Cochford Farm itself was already steeped in history long before Brian Jones arrived. Once owned by the author A. Milne, the property was surrounded by the landscapes that inspired the world of Winnie the Pooh. For Jones, the house represented an escape from the pressures of fame and the constant scrutiny he faced in London. After years of legal troubles and public attention, he sought refuge in the quiet countryside, hoping to rebuild his life and find stability. However, while the setting appeared peaceful, tensions were quietly building behind the scenes. In the months leading up to that summer, Brian Jones had been experiencing significant changes in his life. His role within the band he helped create had diminished, and he had recently stepped away from the group entirely. At the same time, he was attempting to regain control of his personal life, including addressing habits that had begun to affect his health and reliability. Cochford Farm became his sanctuary, but it also became a place where new conflicts emerged. One of the most notable issues involved a group of workers hired to carry out renovations on the property. Led by a man named Frank Thorogood, the group had reportedly overstayed their welcome, taking advantage of Jones's generosity and using the property for their own purposes. Over time, frustration grew, and Jones eventually made the decision to dismiss them, refusing further payment until they left. This decision is believed to have created tension in the days leading up to the events of that July night. As midnight approached on the 2nd of July, the atmosphere at Cochford Farm was anything but calm. Accounts of who was present that evening vary, with some reports naming only a small group of individuals, while others suggest that additional people may have been there. This uncertainty has been one of the key factors contributing to the mystery, as it complicates any attempt to reconstruct what truly happened. In the early hours of the 3rd of July, emergency services arrived at the property. Brian Jones was discovered in the pool, and despite efforts to assist him, he could not be revived. The initial report listed the cause as drowning, later described as misadventure. However, even from the beginning, questions began to surface. Observers noted that Jones was known to be a capable swimmer, making the circumstances of his passing difficult to fully explain. Further examination of the available details added to the uncertainty. Reports indicated that only a modest amount of alcohol was present in his system, an amount that did not seem to match the level of impairment that might lead to such an incident. Additionally, there were inconsistencies between the coroner's findings and the narrative presented publicly, creating a sense that not all aspects of the case had been fully addressed. Over time, alternative interpretations began to emerge. Some suggested that the events in the pool may have involved a confrontation that escalated unexpectedly. Others pointed to physical evidence that hinted at a struggle, leading to the belief that Jones may have been aware of what was happening in his final moments. These interpretations were further supported by statements from individuals connected to the case, including those who believed that the official explanation did not reflect the full truth. One of the most discussed elements of the mystery involves the alleged confession of Frank Thorogood. According to accounts that surfaced years later, Thorogood admitted responsibility during his final days, stating that he had reached a breaking point. While this claim has been both supported and disputed over time, it remains a significant part of the narrative, adding another layer of complexity to an already intricate story. There are also suggestions that certain aspects of the investigation were not pursued as thoroughly as they might have been. Claims have been made that opportunities to explore alternative explanations were set aside, and that decisions were influenced by a desire to present a simpler conclusion. These ideas have contributed to the belief that the full story may never have been uncovered. In the years that followed, the case was revisited on multiple occasions, each time bringing new attention to the unanswered questions. Despite these efforts, no definitive resolution has been reached. Many of the individuals who were present that night are no longer able to provide further insight, leaving key details permanently out of reach. The mystery of Brian Jones continues to resonate because it sits at the intersection of fame, personal struggle, and unresolved truth. It reflects a moment in time when cultural change, public perception, and private lives collided in ways that were not always fully understood. For those who study the case, it remains a puzzle, one that invites reflection on how events can be interpreted differently depending on the information available. More than half a century later, the questions surrounding that night at Cochford Farm remain unanswered. What truly happened in those final moments is still a matter of interpretation, shaped by fragments of evidence and the memories of those who were there. The strange case of Kaspar Hauser. The mystery of Kaspar Hauser remains one of the most haunting and perplexing mysteries in European history. A story that begins with a boy who seemed to appear from nowhere and whose life raised more questions than answers. On the 26th of May in 1828, a young boy of around 16 years of age wandered into the city of Nuremberg, Germany. At first glance, he seemed like a simple traveller, dressed in worn clothing with boots so damaged that his feet pushed through them. Yet it quickly became clear that there was something deeply unusual about him. The boy carried 2 letters, one addressed to a cavalry captain and another that appeared to describe his upbringing. According to these writings, he had spent his entire life confined in a small, darkened space, isolated from all human contact. The letter claimed that since his birth on the 30th of April in 1812, he had never taken a single step outside, living in complete seclusion. It also stated that he had been raised by an unknown caretaker who had now decided to release him into the world, though doing so, the writer warned, would come at great personal risk. When brought before authorities, the boy revealed very little about himself. He repeated only a few phrases, most notably expressing a desire to become a cavalryman like his father. Beyond this, he answered nearly every question with uncertainty. Observers noted that his behaviour resembled that of a young child, despite his physical age. He struggled to walk properly, as though unfamiliar with movement, and his limited vocabulary suggested that he had only recently begun to learn how to communicate. As he was examined more closely, further peculiar details emerged. His feet, though injured from travel, were described as unusually soft, indicating that he had likely never worn shoes before his journey. His diet was equally strange, as he refused all food except for bread and water. When presented with unfamiliar objects, he reacted with wonder and confusion. A simple candle captivated him completely, and he reached out to touch it, unaware of the harm it could cause. Even his own reflection in a mirror seemed to fascinate him, as though he had never seen his own image before. These observations led many to believe that his story of isolation might be genuine. Some suggested that he had been kept hidden away since infancy, deprived of normal human interaction. Others proposed that he might have grown up in the wilderness, though his behaviour did not fully match that of a child raised outside society. The mystery deepened as he began to slowly develop his ability to communicate. Under the care of those who took responsibility for him, including a nobleman and later a teacher named Friedrich Daumer, Kaspar Hauser gradually learned to express himself more clearly. As his language skills improved, he began to share a remarkable account of his past. He described living in a confined space with no light, where he spent his days sitting or lying on a simple bed of straw. According to his story, he was given only bread and water, and occasionally the water would have a bitter taste that caused him to fall into a deep sleep. He claimed that he never saw the face of the person who cared for him, only becoming aware of their presence through the food left behind. Over time, he said, this mysterious figure began to teach him basic words and concepts, preparing him for his eventual release into the outside world. The journey to Nuremberg, as he described it, was carried out without him ever being allowed to look up, leaving him unable to identify the person who brought him there. As Kaspar adapted to life among others, he revealed unexpected abilities. He showed a natural talent for drawing and demonstrated signs of intelligence that suggested he was capable of learning far more than his early behavior had indicated. Yet even as he became more integrated into society, the question of his true identity remained unanswered. Speculation about his origins spread widely. Some believed that he was of noble birth, possibly hidden away for reasons of power or inheritance. Others dismissed his story as fabrication, suggesting that he had invented his tale for attention or sympathy. Despite these conflicting views, no definitive explanation was ever established, and the mystery only grew as time passed. Kaspar Hauser's life continued under the watchful eyes of those who sought to understand him, but the truth of his past remained just out of reach. His arrival in Nuremberg had raised profound questions about identity, isolation, and human development, and those questions were never fully resolved. His story, filled with strange details and unanswered possibilities, became a subject of fascination across Europe. To this day, the mystery endures. Kaspar Hauser remains a mystery, a figure whose origins are as unclear as the circumstances that brought him into the public eye. The mystery of Rodney David Marx. Rodney David Marx was a man whose life embodied curiosity, intelligence, and an unmistakable sense of adventure. Born in the year 1968 in Geelong, Victoria, Australia, he grew up with a personality that many described as open, creative, and deeply engaging. He carried himself with a relaxed, almost artistic spirit, balancing his love for science with passions for music, surfing, and football. His fondness for alternative culture was reflected in the way he presented himself, often wearing the same Sonic Youth shirt so frequently that it became a defining part of his image. Beneath this laid a brilliant and inquisitive mind, one that would eventually lead him to the farthest and most isolated place on Earth. Rodney pursued his academic ambitions at the University of Melbourne, where he specialised in physics and eventually earned his doctorate. His focus on astrophysics drew him toward the mysteries of the universe, and it was this fascination that led him to an extraordinary opportunity. In the early 1990s, he learned of a collaborative research project at the South Pole involving international institutions. Determined to be part of it, Rodney demonstrated remarkable dedication by learning French within just a few months, ensuring he could participate in the program. His commitment paid off, and he made his first journey to Antarctica shortly afterward, a brief visit that left a lasting impression. The environment he encountered was unlike anything he had ever experienced. Antarctica was a place of extremes, where the beauty of the landscape was matched only by its harshness. Despite this, Rodney felt drawn to it. The isolation, the scientific significance, and the opportunity to study the cosmos from one of the clearest vantage points on Earth all combined to create an irresistible pull. By 1997, he returned for a full winter over at the Amundsen Scott South Pole Station, where he became an integral part of the small community stationed there during the long polar night. Life at the South Pole Station was defined by its isolation. During the winter months, the population dropped to around 50 individuals, each playing a vital role in maintaining the facility and conducting research. The sun disappeared entirely for months, leaving the station in perpetual darkness, while temperatures plunged to levels that few places on Earth could match. In these conditions, the residents formed close bonds, relying on one another not only for professional collaboration, but also for emotional support. Rodney thrived in this environment. He shared his love of astronomy with others, holding weekly classes, and contributed to the social life of the station through music and camaraderie. By 2000, Rodney had returned once again, this time working on a sophisticated telescope project. The station itself was housed within a large geodesic dome, protecting it from the relentless Antarctic winds. Supplies were delivered during the brief summer window, after which the station became completely cut off from the outside world. Once the final plane departed in February, there would be no way in or out until the following spring. This isolation meant that every member of the crew depended heavily on the limited resources and equipment available on site. Rodney's presence continued to stand out. Tall, with distinctive dreadlocks, he brought both intellect and personality to the station. He was known for his dry humor and his ability to connect with others, though he also carried personal challenges, including a mild neurological condition that he sometimes managed through alcohol. Despite this, those around him consistently described him as kind, thoughtful, and dedicated to his work. On Thursday, the 11th of May in 2000, Rodney began to feel unwell. What started as a subtle discomfort soon developed into something far more serious. He experienced difficulty breathing, weakness, and vision problems. Initially, these symptoms did not raise immediate alarm, as minor illnesses were not uncommon in such an environment. That evening, he shared a meal with his partner, appearing tired but not overly concerned. However, by the early hours of the following morning, his condition had deteriorated dramatically. He awoke in severe distress, coughing up blood and experiencing intense physical pain. Seeking help, he visited the station's medical facility, where the physician on duty attempted to assess his condition. Without a clear diagnosis, and with limited communication capabilities due to technical issues, the situation became increasingly complicated. As the day progressed, Rodney's symptoms worsened. He returned to the medical center multiple times, each visit marked by escalating discomfort and confusion. Despite efforts to stabilize him, his condition spiraled rapidly. His breathing became erratic, and he appeared to be in significant distress. Medical staff, working with limited tools and without access to outside consultation, attempted to manage his symptoms as best they could. Eventually, Rodney lost consciousness. A team was assembled to provide emergency assistance, but despite their efforts, he could not be revived. By the evening of Friday, the 12th of May, Rodney's life had come to an end, leaving the entire station in shock. At the time, the cause was believed to be natural, as no clear explanation was available. With no possibility of immediate evacuation, his body was carefully prepared and preserved on site. A small ceremony was held, reflecting the deep respect and affection his colleagues had for him. In that isolated and frozen landscape, the sense of loss was profound. Months later, when transportation became possible, his body was sent for examination. The findings were unexpected and deeply troubling. It was determined that Rodney had experienced acute methanol poisoning, a condition caused by ingesting a toxic substance that can lead to severe internal damage. This revelation raised a series of questions that would prove difficult to answer. The presence of methanol at the station was not unusual, as it was used for scientific and technical purposes. However, how it came to be ingested remained unclear. The possibility of accidental exposure was considered, but Rodney's knowledge and experience made such a scenario difficult to fully accept. Another factor complicating the situation was the failure of a key piece of medical equipment that could have identified the poisoning in time for effective treatment. This malfunction meant that a critical window for intervention had been lost. Investigations into the circumstances surrounding his passing faced significant challenges. The remote location, the passage of time, and the limited availability of witnesses all contributed to an environment where definitive answers were difficult to obtain. Various theories emerged, ranging from accidental ingestion to more complex scenarios involving unknown factors. Each possibility carried its own uncertainties, and none could be conclusively proven. Additional details added to the mystery. Items found among Rodney's belongings and workspace suggested potential avenues of inquiry, but none provided a clear explanation. Questions were also raised about certain observations made during his final hours, though these too remained unresolved. The lack of comprehensive data and the constraints of the environment meant that many aspects of the case could not be fully explored. Over time, official conclusions acknowledged the presence of methanol poisoning, but stopped short of identifying a definitive cause. The event was classified as unintended, leaving open the question of how it had occurred. For those who knew Rodney, this lack of clarity was deeply unsettling. His family and friends struggled to reconcile the circumstances with the person they knew, someone who was both knowledgeable and cautious in his work. The broader context of the South Pole Station added another layer to the mystery. The extreme isolation, combined with the reliance on limited resources, created conditions where even minor issues could escalate rapidly. The absence of immediate external support meant that decisions had to be made with incomplete information, often under significant pressure. In such an environment, the line between accident and anomaly could become blurred. To this day, Rodney Marx's passing remains one of the most mysterious events associated with Antarctica. It stands as a rare and haunting occurrence in a place where human presence is already so fragile and isolated. The unanswered questions continue to linger, preserved in the same way as the icy landscape where it all unfolded. The mysterious passing of Annabelle's handler, Dan Rivera. The mystery surrounding the Annabelle doll has fascinated people for decades, but a new chapter has been added to the legend with the sudden passing of Dan Rivera, the doll's longtime handler and lead paranormal investigator. Rivera, aged 54, passed away on the 13th of July, 2025, while touring the United States with the infamous Annabelle doll. His unexpected passing has stirred curiosity, sorrow and speculation, adding yet another layer to the already chilling lore associated with the doll. Dan Rivera was not just the caretaker of Annabelle, he was her protector, researcher, and interpreter for the public. A native of Connecticut and a dedicated member of the New England Society for Psychic Research, Rivera played a crucial role in maintaining the legacy of Ed and Lorraine Warren, the original investigators who had first acquired the doll. Unlike the porcelain version made famous by films in the Conjuring universe, the real Annabelle is a Raggedy Ann doll kept under strict precautions due to her alleged spiritual associations. Rivera had been touring with the doll as part of the Devils on the Run tour, educating the public about its paranormal history and presence. During a weekend event hosted in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, Rivera was staying at a local hotel while Annabelle was on display at the Haunted Orphanage, a location known for its own supernatural folklore. On the morning of the 13th of July, Rivera was found in his hotel room by staff. Pennsylvania State Police later confirmed that nothing suspicious had been observed at the scene, and the cause of his passing is still pending official determination. The event shocked many within the paranormal community and beyond. Rivera had become a well-known and respected figure for his level-headed approach to investigating the unexplained. His work was focused not just on spectacle, but on documentation, preservation, and public education. Fellow investigator Chris Gilleran expressed deep sorrow, sharing on the New England Society for Psychic Research social media page that Rivera had been more than a colleague. He had been a close friend and an irreplaceable presence within the team. He praised Rivera's dedication to the field and his sincere passion for helping others understand the world of the unexplained. The eerie timing of Rivera's passing, while actively touring with one of the most infamous haunted objects in the world, has not gone unnoticed. For some, the coincidence is purely that, a tragic event that occurred during a moment of professional travel. For others, it raises unsettling questions. The Annabelle doll has long been regarded as an object that should not be taken lightly. Stories of strange happenings, sudden misfortunes, and even unexplained events have followed her wherever she has gone. Although investigators always take strict precautions during public exhibitions, many believe that the energy attached to the doll is unpredictable and at times overwhelming. Despite the somber circumstances, the tour will continue. The Annabelle doll is scheduled to appear in Augusta, Maine on the 6th and 7th of September, followed by events in Rock Island, Illinois, and Lexington, Kentucky throughout October. Those working with the New England Society for Psychic Research have vowed to carry on Rivera's mission, educating the public while respecting the seriousness of the objects in their care. What makes this story so compelling is not only the mystery of Annabelle herself, but the deeply human element behind it. Dan Rivera was a real person with a passion for the unknown, a calm voice in a field often filled with fear and speculation. His sudden absence leaves both a personal and professional void, and many are left wondering whether the circumstances surrounding his final days were just an unfortunate coincidence or something more. The legacy of Dan Rivera will likely be remembered alongside that of Annabelle, intertwined in a story that blends historical lore, modern investigation, and the eternal question of what lies beyond the world we see. While the mystery of the doll continues to travel across the country, the memory of the man who cared for her will also journey on, etched into the strange unfolding history of the paranormal. The story of the bulletproof president that was removed from history books. The story of George Washington's extraordinary survival during the French and Indian War remains one of the most remarkable and mysterious episodes of his early life. Long before he would become commander of the Continental Army or the first president of the United States, Washington was a young officer facing what would become one of the bloodiest military defeats in colonial history. The events of the 9th of July, 1755, during a disastrous encounter near Fort Duquesne, not only revealed Washington's courage and resilience, but also left many believing he was divinely protected, destined for a greater purpose. At just 23 years old, Washington was serving as a colonel in the Virginia militia during the French and Indian War, a conflict between Britain and France over territorial claims in North America. The war took place nearly 2 decades before the American Revolution, yet it set the stage for many of the tensions and relationships that would define the years ahead. In this particular campaign, the British sought to remove the French from the strategically vital Fort Duquesne, located in what is now Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. General Edward Braddock, leading a force of 2,300 British soldiers, had selected Washington and 100 Virginia militiamen to accompany him. Together, a smaller detachment of approximately 1,300 troops pushed northward through the Pennsylvania wilderness, intent on expelling the French and securing control of the Ohio Valley. However, only 7 miles from their destination, the British column marched straight into an ambush. Hidden among the trees and underbrush, French forces and their Native American allies launched a devastating attack from both sides of a wooded ravine. Trained in traditional European tactics, Braddock's troops responded by lining up shoulder to shoulder in the open, as they had been taught. But European-style warfare was of little use in the dense forest. The enemy, skilled in guerrilla tactics, fired from behind trees, rocks and logs with precision and speed. What followed was 2 hours of brutal chaos. During this time, George Washington rode tirelessly back and forth across the battlefield, delivering orders and attempting to organize a panicked and disoriented force. Officers were the primary targets, and of the 86 British and American officers on the field that day, 63 were taken down. Miraculously, Washington remained unharmed. He was the only officer left on horseback by the end of the battle. At least 2 horses were struck beneath him, and when he later removed his coat, he discovered 4 holes pierced clean through it, yet not a single scratch marked his skin. In the days following the battle, Washington led the remaining soldiers in a retreat to Fort Cumberland in western Maryland, arriving there on the 17th of July, 1755. The following day, he wrote a letter to his family recounting the astonishing events. He acknowledged what he believed to be divine intervention, stating that he had been protected beyond all human probability. For Washington, the events of that day were not merely a matter of chance. They were a sign of purpose and calling. 15 years later, in the year 1770, long after the war had ended and during a time of peace, Washington returned to the very woods where the ambush had taken place. Accompanied by his close friend Dr. James Craik, he reflected on the events that had shaped his early career. It was during this visit that an old Native American chief traveled a long distance to meet him. The chief claimed he had been a leader during the ambush 15 years prior and had given direct orders for his warriors to focus their attention on the officers. According to the chief, Washington had stood out on the battlefield, and he himself had taken aim at the young officer 17 times, each time without success. Recognizing that Washington seemed untouched by danger and believing that he was protected by a higher power, the Great Spirit, the chief eventually told his warriors to stop targeting him. Sitting across from Washington at a council fire, the chief said he had come to see the young warrior of that great battle, to pay homage to the one who, in his eyes, was favored by heaven and destined never to fall in battle. This strange and powerful story, passed down through generations, became more than just a tale of wartime courage. It came to symbolize the belief that George Washington's life was being guided by something greater. Whether one views it through the lens of faith, fate, or fortune, the events of that day in 1755 remain one of the most compelling mysteries of his life. The Phantom Submarine of World War II. During the intense years of the Second World War, many mysterious events unfolded across the globe, both on land and at sea. Among the most puzzling were the encounters reported by Allied naval forces with what became known as phantom submarines, strange underwater vessels that could not be linked to any known navy. These mysterious sightings, spanning several years of the conflict, stirred fear, confusion, and endless speculation. Were they secret enemy experiments, technological prototypes far ahead of their time, or perhaps something entirely unexplained? Throughout the war, Allied ships frequently operated in hostile waters, often engaged in battles with German U-boats and Japanese submarines. Yet not every submarine encountered matched known patterns or identification. On several occasions, warships reported engaging undersea craft that evaded sonar detection, vanished without a trace, or displayed speeds and maneuverability far beyond what contemporary submarines were believed capable of. Some crews spoke of torpedoes launched from unknown depths or sonar contacts that would appear and then suddenly vanish. What made these encounters so compelling was the consistent confusion that followed. After-action reports described submarines behaving in ways that defied normal technology. They moved silently, evaded advanced detection equipment, and in some cases were spotted where no enemy vessels should have been. These were not isolated incidents. Similar reports emerged from the Atlantic, the Pacific, and even the icy Arctic waters. Yet in every case, no confirmed identification was ever made. No known German, Japanese, or Italian submarine fleet claimed responsibility for these mysterious appearances. Speculation ran wild. Some military experts believed the sightings could be attributed to enemy prototypes. There were whispers of German U-boats undergoing secret modifications, long-range submarines, or high-speed models that were never officially documented. Others thought the Phantom submarines might be remnants of an early experimental branch of naval engineering, vessels created for stealth operations and kept hidden from mainstream military records. However, not everyone was convinced that these unexplained underwater encounters had earthly explanations. A small number of sailors and officers suggested that something else entirely might have been at play. The silence, the strange movement, the vanishing signatures, all pointed, they believed, to a force or presence beyond current understanding. Some even linked the reports to other unusual phenomena recorded during the war, such as unidentified flying objects seen by pilots over Europe and the Pacific. Though these Phantom submarines were never confirmed or recovered, they remain a part of Second World War lore. Their presence added a layer of uncertainty to already dangerous waters, and the fact that no clear explanation was ever found only deepened the mystery. The war was full of secrets, codes, spies, hidden weapons, but the Phantom submarine stands out because it was never fully explained, and it left no solid trace behind. To this day, the story of the Phantom submarine continues to spark debate. Whether the answer lies in forgotten enemy technology, secret Allied tests, or something beyond ordinary science, it serves as a powerful reminder that even in the age of modern warfare, there are still things that defy explanation. The mystery of the clown craze. In the late summer of the year 2016, a strange and unsettling phenomenon swept across multiple countries. Individuals dressed as sinister-looking clowns began appearing in unusual and often eerie locations, standing silently in forests, loitering near schools, or lurking on quiet roads at dusk. The first widely publicized sighting occurred in Green Bay, Wisconsin, where photographs of a shadowy clown carrying black balloons circulated rapidly online. This particular case was later revealed to be part of a marketing stunt for a local horror film. However, what began as a promotional effort quickly spiraled into a global phenomenon that no one could fully explain. Within weeks, clown sightings were reported in nearly every region of the United States. By the middle of October of that same year, reports had emerged from nearly every American state, 9 out of 13 Canadian provinces and territories, and 18 other nations around the world, including the United Kingdom and Australia. Individuals described seeing clowns peering into windows, standing still near playgrounds, and sometimes chasing or frightening bystanders. These sightings ignited widespread concern, especially among parents, educators, and local law enforcement. In some cases, schools were placed on temporary lockdowns, and police increased patrols in areas where clown activity had been reported. Though the events reached a fever pitch in 2016, the roots of the phenomenon stretch back to earlier years. Since as early as 2013, social media platforms have occasionally erupted with images and videos of people dressed as unsettling clowns in public areas. These earlier instances were rare and generally dismissed as pranks, but they laid the groundwork for what would later become a viral trend. Once the images from Green Bay captured public attention, the idea spread rapidly, fueled by internet culture, word of mouth, and mass media coverage. What puzzled many observers was how quickly the clown craze vanished. By the end of November of 2016, sightings dropped off as rapidly as they had begun. Law enforcement cracked down on individuals involved. Some were issued citations or arrested for causing disturbances, and public interest seemed to shift elsewhere. Without warning, the red-nosed figures that had haunted neighborhoods and dominated headlines were gone. The sudden disappearance of the clown sightings remains a mystery in itself. Some theorists suggest that the phenomenon was driven almost entirely by viral momentum. Once the novelty wore off, the sightings ceased. Others believe the increased presence of law enforcement, along with legal consequences for those caught, discouraged further impersonations. A smaller group speculates that the phenomenon tapped into deeper psychological or cultural fears, a reflection of society's discomfort with things that appear joyful on the surface but hint at something darker beneath. Despite numerous explanations, no single reason fully accounts for both the spread and sudden vanishing of the creepy clown phenomenon. It remains a modern mystery, a peculiar event where costume, fear, social media, and group behavior collided in a way that briefly captivated the world, then vanished as quickly as it had appeared. The mystery of the Catman of Greenock. In the quiet town of Greenock, Scotland, nestled along the River Clyde, an eerie figure has long captured the imagination of locals. Known simply as the Catman of Greenock, he has become a strange and enduring part of local folklore. Described by many as an elusive figure who roams the streets and alleys with feline-like behavior, the Catman is as much mystery as man. Though his true origins remain unknown, stories about him have been passed down through generations, blending fact with fiction and shadow with truth. For decades, residents have reported brief, often unsettling sightings of a man crawling through dark corners of the town, covered in grime, with eyes that reflect the night like a cat's. One of his most recognizable features is a distinctive scar across his face, adding to the mystery that already surrounds his presence. Some claim he has not aged in years, while others say he has disappeared and reappeared multiple times throughout recent decades, always seeming to vanish just as curiosity begins to rise again. According to local legend, the Catman was once a Russian sailor who came ashore in Greenock many years ago. The story goes that he found himself far from home, and after an unfortunate encounter with a group of unfriendly locals, his legs were badly injured, leaving him unable to walk upright. With no home and no support, he took to the alleys and abandoned spaces, surviving off what he could find. Some say he adapted to his surroundings by crawling, finding safety in the shadows, and feeding off scraps and small creatures, especially rats. Over time, his behavior, appearance, and survival instincts gave rise to the name Catman. While many believe this story to be little more than myth, photographs and personal accounts suggest otherwise. Several images have emerged over the years, showing a man with an unmistakable appearance, mud-covered, crouched, and seemingly living in the hidden places of the town. Witnesses claim he does not speak and prefers to retreat when spotted. Yet, despite his quiet nature, there are those in Greenock who say they have left food out for him, noting that it vanishes by morning. The mystery of the Catman deepened after a period during which he was not seen for several years. Some believed he had passed away or simply moved on, but to the surprise of many, sightings began again in recent years, with newer images surfacing, showing what appears to be the same man, older but still unmistakably the same figure, marked by that same haunting scar and familiar crouched stance. Despite the eerie nature of the legend, many people in Greenock feel a deep sense of sympathy for the Catman. While his story has been twisted into something almost mythical, with tales of animalistic behavior and survival in the shadows, the reality behind the mystery seems far more human and tragic. Those who have seen him up close describe not a creature of the night, but a vulnerable man shaped by hardship. Beneath the rumors and ghost stories is someone who, at some point, was left behind by society. Residents who have lived in the area for many years recall first hearing about the Catman as children. What began as playground whispers or spooky stories told at night slowly transformed into something more complex. As people grew older, they began to recognize that the man behind the legend may have been living with significant physical challenges, strain, or simply misfortune. Rather than a figure to fear, many locals now view him with quiet compassion. Over the years, some residents have left food or blankets in places where they believed the Catman might find them. Others have tried, without success, to reach out or offer help. Yet, the Catman has always chosen solitude, retreating into the safety of hidden places. This continued distance has only fueled the stories that surround him, and unfortunately, his quiet suffering has become the foundation of an urban myth that doesn't fully capture the truth. Many now reflect on how his life, already marked by hardship, has been further shaped by a legend that sometimes dehumanizes him. There is a growing sentiment among Greenock's people that the stories, while intriguing, may have overshadowed the individual behind them. It is easy to forget, when discussing the shadowy figure crawling through alleyways, that this is a real person, someone who likely faced loss, pain, and rejection long before becoming the subject of whispered tales. The mystery of the Black Angel. Tucked near the north side of Iowa City lies Oakland Cemetery, a peaceful resting place that has existed since the year 1843. While the grounds are filled with history, it's not the age of the land that draws constant visitors, but rather one towering figure within it. Rising above the gravestones stands a statue known far and wide as the Black Angel, a monument both admired and feared. Shrouded in mystery and superstition, this dark figure has become one of Iowa's most talked about local legends. The statue was erected in the year 1913 and stands over 8.5 feet tall, or approximately 2.6 meters. Cast in bronze, the angel was once a gleaming symbol of remembrance. Over the years, however, the metal darkened, and with that change came a wave of stories and eerie speculation. Locals say the angel's color turned black overnight, which many believe was not the result of natural oxidation, but rather something more spiritual, or even cursed. Many in the area have long believed that the Black Angel brings misfortune to those who dare disrespect it. It is said that anyone who kisses the statue, touches it without permission, or visits with ill intentions may experience extraordinary bad luck. Whether these are simple warnings meant to protect the statue or genuine cautionary tales, the fear they inspire is very real to many. Some have claimed to suffer relationship trouble, physical mishaps, or financial loss after interacting with the statue. Though these events cannot be definitively linked to the Black Angel, the stories persist across generations. Visitors continue to flock to Oakland Cemetery to see the statue for themselves. For some, the angel is a stunning piece of artistry and history. For others, it represents something more mysterious, perhaps a warning or a guardian of the resting souls nearby. The figure's wings, bowed head, and downward gaze all contribute to an air of solemnity, as though the statue itself is silently mourning. Whether viewed as beautiful or unsettling, the presence of the Black Angel is undeniable. The most popular night to visit is, unsurprisingly, Halloween. On this night, brave individuals make their way to the cemetery in hopes of glimpsing the statue under the moonlight, sometimes daring each other to get too close. Despite its reputation, no confirmed incidents have ever been officially tied to the statue, yet stories continue to surface year after year. What keeps the legend alive may not be the statue itself, but the power of belief. The Black Angel of Oakland Cemetery stands as a symbol of mystery, not just because of its appearance, but because of the stories that surround it. Its silence holds secrets that may never be uncovered, making it a quiet but powerful figure in Iowa's folklore. Whether one believes the legends or simply respects the mystery, the Black Angel continues to watch over the cemetery, drawing curious hearts to its feet and daring them to wonder. In October 2017, a mysterious and massive disc-shaped object was observed close to the Sun by the Solar and Heliospheric Observatory, a spacecraft operated by NASA and the European Space Agency. This discovery quickly caught the attention of UFO researchers and the general public alike, sparking debates about the nature of the object and its possible implications. Many questioned whether this was a naturally occurring astronomical phenomenon, a technological glitch, or something more extraordinary, perhaps even extraterrestrial. The Solar and Heliospheric Observatory, launched in 1995, has been instrumental in monitoring the Sun's activity, capturing images and data that help scientists understand solar phenomena such as sunspots, solar flares, and coronal mass ejections. The spacecraft's instruments have provided invaluable insights into the behavior of our closest star and its impact on the solar system. However, on October 27, 2017, the Solar and Heliospheric Observatory captured an image that was unlike any typical solar event. The image in question showed a large disc-shaped object seemingly hovering near the Sun. The object appeared dark against the bright backdrop of the Sun's corona, casting a stark contrast that made it difficult to ignore. Its shape was distinct and symmetrical, bearing an uncanny resemblance to the classic depiction of a flying saucer. What made the observation even more intriguing was the object's apparent size. Given its proximity to the Sun, the disk would have to be enormous, possibly several times the size of Earth, to be visible at such a distance. The appearance of the disc-shaped object near the Sun did not go unnoticed. Almost immediately after the images were released, they circulated widely across social media, UFO forums, and websites. Enthusiasts of extraterrestrial life and UFOs were quick to propose that the object was an alien spacecraft, possibly engaged in some kind of solar harvesting activity or monitoring Earth from a distance. The fact that the object was observed near the Sun, a symbol of life-giving energy, added fuel to the speculation that extraterrestrial beings might be harnessing the Sun's power. On the other hand, skeptics and scientists approached the image with caution. Whether the disc-shaped object was a digital artifact, an optical illusion, or something more mysterious, the incident raises important questions about our understanding of the universe and the limitations of our current technology. The excitement generated by such sightings underscores the deep human curiosity about the unknown, particularly the possibility of extraterrestrial life. It also highlights the importance of maintaining a critical and scientific approach to analyzing such phenomena, ensuring that we do not jump to conclusions without thorough investigation. This event also serves as a reminder of the challenges faced by scientists working in the field of solar observation. The Sun is an incredibly dynamic and powerful star, emitting a vast array of electromagnetic radiation and particles that can interfere with even the most advanced instruments. As our technology continues to improve, so too will our ability to distinguish between real astronomical phenomena and mere artifacts of our observational tools. Many questioned whether this object was refueling at our Sun. A civilization capable of manipulating the energy of a star would likely have technology far beyond our current understanding. They could potentially build megastructures, such as Dyson spheres or swarms, to capture solar energy on an unprecedented scale. The idea of UFOs utilizing the Sun for energy suggests a scenario where extraterrestrial craft are not just visiting Earth, but are tapping into the immense energy reserves of our star. There are several theoretical methods through which an advanced civilization could harness solar energy, and by extension, how UFOs might be using the Sun. A Dyson sphere is a hypothetical megastructure that completely surrounds a star, capturing most or all of its energy output. The energy could then be used for various purposes, including powering a civilization's technological infrastructure or interstellar travel. More realistically, a Dyson swarm, a collection of smaller independent structures orbiting the Sun, could perform the same function. If UFOs were using the Sun's energy, they might be components of a Dyson swarm, collecting solar energy and storing it for later use or transferring it directly to a mothership or other large-scale vessel. Another advanced method of solar energy extraction is stellar lifting, which involves removing material directly from a star's surface. This process could be achieved using powerful magnetic fields or high-energy lasers to strip away hydrogen and other elements. These materials could then be used as fuel for fusion reactors, providing a nearly limitless supply of energy. UFOs observed near the Sun might be engaged in this type of activity, appearing to skim the solar surface or remain stationary near the Sun's corona as they extract and store energy. The Sun emits vast amounts of plasma, particularly during solar flares and coronal mass ejections. Advanced spacecraft could theoretically harness this plasma, using it as a direct energy source or converting it into other forms of usable energy. UFOs might be seen interacting with solar flares or coronal ejections, capturing and processing this highly energetic material. A more speculative method could involve the use of quantum entanglement to transfer energy from the Sun to distant locations instantaneously. While still within the realm of theoretical physics, the idea suggests that advanced civilizations could manipulate quantum states to transfer energy without the need for physical structures like Dyson spheres. UFOs, equipped with quantum technologies, might be capable of siphoning energy from the Sun through mechanisms that are currently beyond human understanding. If UFOs were indeed using the Sun for energy, the implications would be profound, challenging our current understanding of both physics and the possibility of extraterrestrial life. If UFOs are actively using the Sun, it suggests that Earth is being observed, or at least that our solar system is of interest to these civilizations. This raises questions about the intentions of such beings, whether they are benign, neutral, or potentially hostile, and what form, if any, contact might take. Observing extraterrestrial use of solar energy could inspire new technological innovations on Earth. If we could understand and replicate even a fraction of such advanced energy systems, it could revolutionize our approach to energy production and consumption, addressing global energy needs and reducing dependence on fossil fuels. In recent years, a growing body of evidence has emerged, suggesting that unidentified flying objects have been observed in close proximity to the Sun. These sightings, captured by various solar observation satellites such as the Solar and Heliospheric Observatory, have sparked intense debate within the scientific community and among UFO enthusiasts. While skeptics often dismiss these observations as mere artifacts of imaging technology, there is a compelling case to be made for the genuine presence of advanced extraterrestrial technology near our star. If we accept the premise that these UFOs are real, we must then consider their purpose. What could an advanced extraterrestrial civilization be doing so close to the Sun? Several theories have been proposed, each with profound implications for our understanding of extraterrestrial life and their technological capabilities. One of the most compelling theories is that these UFOs are engaged in energy harvesting. Another plausible explanation is that these UFOs are conducting scientific research on the Sun. The Sun is a complex and dynamic entity, and understanding its behavior could be crucial for any civilization, especially one that relies on solar energy or lives in proximity to such a star. The UFOs might be equipped with advanced instruments designed to monitor solar activity, study the physics of stellar phenomena, or even predict solar storms that could affect planets in the solar system. If extraterrestrial civilizations are indeed observing the Sun, it suggests that they possess a level of scientific curiosity and technological capability far beyond our own. Their presence near the Sun could indicate a deep understanding of stellar dynamics, possibly even greater than that of human astrophysicists. In addition to energy harvesting, these UFOs might be engaged in resource extraction. The Sun, composed primarily of hydrogen and helium, is a massive reservoir of materials that could be valuable for a technologically advanced civilization. Hydrogen, in particular, could be used as fuel for fusion reactors, providing a nearly limitless source of power. The UFOs might be using sophisticated methods to extract hydrogen or other elements from the Sun's outer layers, storing them for later use. Resource extraction from a star would require technology far beyond anything humanity currently possesses. Such an operation would need to overcome extreme temperatures, radiation, and gravitational forces, indicating that the civilizations behind these UFOs have developed materials and energy shields that are far superior to our own. The possibility that UFOs are real and operating near the Sun has profound implications for humanity. First and foremost, it challenges our understanding of the universe and our place within it. If extraterrestrial civilizations exist and are capable of such advanced technological feats, it suggests that we are not alone in the universe and that there are others far more advanced than we are. Additionally, the presence of these UFOs near the Sun could inspire new scientific and technological advancements. Understanding how these objects operate and what they are doing could lead to breakthroughs in energy production, materials, science, and space travel. It could also drive a renewed interest in space exploration as humanity seeks to understand and possibly interact with these advanced civilizations. Finally, the realization that UFOs are real and operating within our solar system could have profound implications for global security and policy. Governments and international organizations would need to consider the possibility of extraterrestrial contact and the potential risks and opportunities it presents. Barisa, a child prodigy, was born in 1996 and is also known as Little Boris. According to his mother, who is a doctor, she recognized her son's exceptional nature when he was able to hold his head up without any assistance, a mere 2 weeks after his birth. According to her, he commenced speaking a few months after his birth and was capable of reading, drawing, and painting by the age of 18 months. When Barisa, at the young age of 2, attended kindergarten, his teachers were immediately impressed by his exceptional writing and language abilities and his impressive memory skills. This left a significant impression on his teachers, who could hardly believe the young child's remarkable abilities. The young boy has insisted on multiple occasions that he used to be a pilot from Mars and had traveled to Earth. Bariska's parents maintain that they didn't educate their son about space as a youngster, yet he would frequently converse about Mars, planetary structures, and extraterrestrial societies. According to reports, his infatuation with space became his primary interest, and soon after, he began proclaiming to have been born on the planet Mars. According to researchers, he was an introverted young man who exhibited intelligence above the norm. He asserts that there are still many unexplored mysteries on this planet, citing the Great Pyramid of Giza as an example of a structure that conceals valuable insights. Bariska claims that once the Sphinx is opened, using an unknown mechanism located behind its ear, human life will be transformed. The exact details of this mechanism are unclear to Bariska. Bariska elaborates that the incident on Mars was a result of a nuclear conflict among the inhabitants of the planet. According to him, a small number of people managed to survive and subsequently constructed shelters for protection while simultaneously developing new weaponry. According to the boy, Martians inhale carbon dioxide, and in case they visit Earth, they would require pipes filled with this gas to exhale. Bariska, despite experiencing a significant nuclear disaster in the distant past, Mars is said to harbor a community of extraterrestrial beings. He asserts that there are still many unexplored mysteries on this planet, citing the Great Pyramid of Giza as an example of a structure that conceals valuable insights. Bariska claims that once the Sphinx is opened, using an unknown mechanism located behind its ear, human life will be transformed. The exact details of this mechanism are unclear to Bariska. Oddly enough, many have pointed out that there is a mysterious hole that was mysteriously sealed up in the Sphinx's head. The Great Sphinx of Giza, commonly known as the Sphinx, is a grand limescale structure in the Golden Giza Desert of Egypt. The statue is of a reclining sphinx, a mythical creature that combines the head of a human with the body of a lion. The Sphinx is seen as a dangerous, merciless creature in Greek mythology. In Egyptian mythology, however, the Sphinx is a slightly less cruel creature. Unlike the Greek Sphinx, the Egyptian one is firstly male, and secondly is described as more benevolent than the Greek Sphinx. However, they are both thought to be extremely strong and guarded the entrance to temples in ancient times. Today, the Sphinx is a tourist attraction more than anything. Such an incredible architectural feat naturally draws a lot of attention, and historians and researchers have spent years delving into the history of the Sphinx. Naturally, this leaves various unanswered questions. The first modern archaeological dig of the Sphinx was undertaken in 1817, but it was some time before that it had been visited and captured in painting. Around 1798, French painter Vivant Denon painted a picture of the Sphinx, but when it was finished, critics noticed something a little strange. Denon had painted a man being pulled out of the head of the Sphinx. Two figures were helping a third out of the cavernous head of the statue, which had been painted side on. Now, you may wonder whether this was simply a matter of imagination. Perhaps Denon had wanted to add something a little different to the painting. But of course, nobody knew for sure, as it was the 18th century, and the beauty of both aviation and drone imagery had not quite been invented yet. However, in the 1920s, aerial photography had become possible, and lo and behold, what appeared on the Sphinx's head? A hole, big enough for a man to fit through. Naturally, this made Denon's painting all the more interesting. It appeared he'd actually seen people climbing out of the Sphinx, which begged the question, who was in the Sphinx, and what were they doing? Not a lot is known about the history of the Sphinx, or at least there isn't a lot of definitive knowledge, but researchers have noticed that the head of the Sphinx is made from different materials to the rest of the statue. The head appears to be made out of a man-made substance rather than limestone, hence the darkness of the stone of the head compared to the body. Furthermore, the Sphinx's head has hardly eroded and appears smoother than its body. This again points to the idea that the head was somehow interfered with, maybe long before any Western peoples even knew of its existence. But this still doesn't answer the question of why those men were in the head of the Sphinx. One thing that is known is that restoration work has been done on the Great Sphinx. Something to note, though, is that at the time, and as mentioned by Tour Egypt, systematic research on the water table, pollution, and on the properties of the stone and mortar were undertaken. They note, though, that for some unknown reason, these discoveries were not applied when the restoration work was being carried out. It's been theorized that the hole in the head of a sphinx actually led to an ancient underground chamber, which then joined up to more underground chambers beneath the Great Pyramids. This secret city, as it was dubbed by the mainstream media, was allegedly found in March of 1935. Newspapers even covered the topic, and it was speculated that this discovery would have gone down in history as being one of the greatest. However, not one Egyptologist or researcher commented on the findings. It was almost as if every researcher forgot about these initial discoveries. There was complete silence from those studying and working alongside these structures. Back in 1987, a Japanese research team from Tokyo's Waseda University began an extensive underground survey of the regions surrounding the Great Sphinx statue, utilizing groundbreaking technology at the time known as the electromagnetic sounding survey radar, in an attempt to better image the sunken regions of the Sphinx statue. Under the direction of head researcher Sakuji Yoshimura, the team got some of the most accurate 3D rendered images of the statue ever seen, with a strange revelation that no one had seen coming. For some unknown reason, the Japanese survey team discovered an extensive system of cavities and tunnels inside and underneath the Great Sphinx monolith that were believed to have been previously undiscovered. According to the team, south of the Sphinx was a hollow tunnel believed to have been 2.5 meters wide and 3 meters tall, connecting two chambers, a small and large chamber that appears to connect to additional tunnels that stretched north, south, and southeast of the Sphinx's direction. Portions of shafts were found in unconnected areas beneath the Sphinx, with additional cavities found inside the structure of the Sphinx and beside the body of the Sphinx, unconnected to the tunnels beneath the monolith. None of these findings have been pursued after the survey, with many denying the existence of the tunnels and shafts, despite the mountains of clear imaging evidence gathered under the direction of lead researchers. The frustrating thing about this is that there's no conclusion to the mysterious hole seen in the Sphinx's head. We know it was there as we have photographs and paintings, but as of right, only theories can be put forward for why it was sealed up. The ancient Egyptians have filled history with spectacular cultural offerings, from the pharaohs to the pyramids to the Great Sphinx itself. When we as a race discover something that old, it's only natural to begin to wonder whether there is a little more to these beautiful pieces of history than the accepted truths. Who knows what really lurks in the mysterious ancient catacombs beneath the Sphinx? Perhaps one day we might find out. Until that time, though, we can only put forward our theories as to why these chambers have been kept a secret from the public. In the annals of ancient history, few figures loom as large as Queen Nefertiti, the great royal wife of Pharaoh Akhenaten and one of ancient Egypt's most iconic and mysterious queens. Renowned for her beauty, power, and influence, Nefertiti's reign during the 14th century BCE marked a transformative period in Egyptian history, characterized by religious revolution, cultural upheaval, and artistic innovation. Yet, despite her prominence in the historical record, the mysterious disappearance of Queen Nefertiti remains one of the greatest unsolved mysteries of the ancient world. Nefertiti's rise to power began in the early years of her husband's reign, when Pharaoh Akhenaten ascended to the throne and embarked on a radical religious reform known as the Amarna period. Central to this reform was the worship of the sun disk Aten as the supreme deity and the establishment of a new capital city at Amarna dedicated to the cult of Aten. As Akhenaten's chief consort and co-regent, Nefertiti played a pivotal role in promoting the worship of Aten and disseminating the ideology of the Amarna revolution throughout Egypt. During her tenure as queen, Nefertiti wielded unprecedented influence and authority, serving as a powerful political and religious figure alongside her husband. Her iconic depiction in ancient Egyptian art, characterized by her elegant profile, elongated neck, and distinctive crown, attests to her status as a paragon of beauty and grace, revered by both her contemporaries and future generations. Yet, despite her prominence and influence, Nefertiti's fate remains shrouded in mystery, with conflicting theories and conjectures about her ultimate destiny. The most widely accepted theory posits that Nefertiti died during the reign of her husband and was subsequently buried in a royal tomb in the Valley of the Kings. However, no conclusive evidence of her burial has ever been found, leaving her final resting place a tantalizing mystery for archaeologists and historians. Another theory suggests that Nefertiti may have outlived her husband and ruled Egypt as a pharaoh in her own right under the name Neferuaten. This theory is supported by evidence of a female ruler named Neferuaten who succeeded Akhenaten and continued his religious reforms, albeit with a more moderate approach. However, the identity of Neferuaten remains uncertain, and it is unclear whether she was indeed Nefertiti or another member of the royal family. Intriguingly, recent archaeological discoveries have reignited speculation about Nefertiti's fate, with tantalizing clues emerging from the sands of Egypt that suggest she may have been buried in a hidden chamber within the tomb of Pharaoh Tutankhamun. In 2015, a team of archaeologists led by British Egyptologist Nicholas Reeves proposed the existence of a secret chamber behind the walls of Tutankhamun's tomb, which they believed could contain the long-lost burial of Queen Nefertiti. Although subsequent investigations failed to conclusively confirm the presence of a hidden chamber within Tutankhamun's tomb, the tantalizing possibility of uncovering Nefertiti's final resting place has captured the imagination of scholars and enthusiasts alike. If Nefertiti's tomb were to be discovered, it would not only shed light on her mysterious disappearance, but also provide invaluable insights into the religious and political landscape of ancient Egypt during the Amarna period. Yet, even as the search for Nefertiti's tomb continues, her legacy endures as a symbol of female power and influence in ancient Egypt. Whether as a beautiful queen, a formidable ruler, or a strange figure lost to the sands of time, Nefertiti remains an icon of antiquity whose mystique continues to fascinate and inspire generations of admirers. As of right now, the mysterious disappearance of Queen Nefertiti remains one of the greatest unsolved mysteries of ancient Egypt, shrouded in speculation, intrigue, and conjecture. From her influential role in the Amarna period to her mysterious fate after the death of her husband, Nefertiti's legacy endures as a testament to the enduring allure of the ancient world and the mysteries that lie buried beneath its sands. As archaeologists continue to uncover new evidence and insights into the life and times of Queen Nefertiti, her story will continue to captivate and inspire generations to come. The Mystery of Crystal Rogers. Bardstown, Kentucky, nestled in the heart of the Bluegrass State, is a town known for its charm, tight-knit community, and deep roots in the bourbon industry. Yet, since the summer of 2015, the town has been haunted by the disappearance of one of its own, Crystal Rogers, a 35-year-old mother of 5 whose case remains one of the most heartbreaking and puzzling unsolved stories in Kentucky's recent history. Crystal Rogers was born and raised in Bardstown. She was known for being a warm, generous person, always ready to lend a hand to those in need. More than anything, Crystal was a devoted mother. Rarely seen without at least one of her children by her side, she embraced motherhood with her whole heart. Her family described her as deeply nurturing, a woman who prioritized her children above all else. At the time of her disappearance, Crystal was living with her boyfriend, Brooks Houck, who was also the father of her youngest child, a 2-year-old boy named Eli. Their relationship had its complications, but outwardly, they appeared to function as a family. On the evening of the 3rd of July, 2015, Crystal was last seen alive, reportedly spending time with Brooks and Eli. Brooks would later tell authorities that the 3 of them had visited his family's farm before returning home that night. What happened next remains unclear. By the morning of the 5th of July, Crystal's mother, Sherry Ballard, had grown increasingly worried. She had been trying to reach her daughter since the previous day, to no avail. Her concern deepened when Crystal's teenage daughter also said she hadn't been able to reach her mother, and that it was completely unlike her to be out of contact for that long. Crystal was someone who checked in regularly. Silence from her was alarming. Sherry decided to report her daughter missing and headed toward the police station. On her way, she ran into Brooks and asked if he had seen Crystal. His response was unsettling. He claimed that she had left their home sometime during the night and had not returned. There was no explanation, no urgency in his voice. To Sherry, it didn't make sense. Crystal would never willingly leave her children behind. That same day, another strange and tragic clue emerged. Crystal's father, Tommy Ballard, was driving along the Bluegrass Parkway when he noticed a red Chevrolet Impala with a flat tire parked on the side of the road near mile marker 14. He recognized the vehicle instantly. It belonged to Crystal. Tommy pulled over and contacted authorities. The car was unlocked. Inside were Crystal's purse, her phone, and the keys, still in the ignition, but there was no sign of Crystal anywhere. To those who knew her, the circumstances immediately raised red flags. Leaving her belongings behind, especially her phone, was completely out of character. If she had truly walked away on her own, why would she have left everything behind? And why hadn't she contacted anyone since? As the days passed, the case gained more attention. The police began looking into those closest to Crystal, and naturally, suspicion turned to Brooks. After all, he was the last person known to have seen her. On the 8th of July, Brooks was brought in for questioning by Detective John Snow. During the interview, Brooks remained calm, but offered few useful details. He maintained that Crystal had left during the night and that he had no idea where she had gone. He also made it clear that he didn't believe anything suspicious had happened to her. But others weren't so convinced. Brooks's demeanor struck many as distant. He showed little emotion during the early days of the investigation. Meanwhile, Crystal's family organized searches, handed out flyers, and pleaded for information. They were desperate for answers, but each passing day brought none. As the investigation progressed, more unusual elements began to surface. One of the most startling developments came when Brooks's brother, Nick Houck, who was a police officer at the time, was interviewed by the authorities. Nick reportedly warned Brooks not to speak with investigators and refused to cooperate fully during his own questioning. Eventually, he was dismissed from the police force due to his lack of cooperation. Despite mounting suspicions and growing community pressure, there was still no sign of Crystal. Her case became one of the highest-profile missing persons cases in Kentucky, yet months and years went by with no major breakthroughs. The emotional weight of the mystery took a deep toll on the Ballard family. Tragically, in November of 2016, Crystal's father, Tommy Ballard, was involved in a deeply unsettling incident. While preparing for a hunting trip with his grandson, he was fatally struck by a projectile under suspicious circumstances. Though authorities have not officially linked his passing to Crystal's case, many in the community believe the two events are connected. Tommy had been Crystal's strongest advocate, relentlessly searching for answers. His loss only deepened the sorrow surrounding the case. As years passed, small updates emerged, new searches, new tips, and continued interest from national media outlets. Crystal's mother, Sherry, remained at the forefront of these efforts, determined not to let her daughter's story fade. She remained hopeful that one day the truth would come to light. In recent years, new developments have continued to keep the case in public focus, including law enforcement searching properties and issuing new statements about ongoing investigations. While no one has been officially charged in connection with Crystal's disappearance, the case remains active. It continues to be investigated by multiple agencies, including the FBI. The mystery of what happened to Crystal Rogers has never been fully explained. Her disappearance remains one of Kentucky's most disturbing cold cases. It is a story of love, loss, and the relentless pursuit of justice by a grieving family. For Bardstown, it is a wound that has not yet healed, and for the many who followed her story, Crystal remains more than a case. She is a reminder of the fragility of life and the importance of never giving up on the search for truth. In the quiet spaces of Bardstown, the memory of Crystal Rogers lives on. Her face remains on billboards, her name spoken in whispers and in prayer. Until the day comes when answers are finally found, the mystery of Crystal Rogers continues to echo through the Kentucky hills, a question still waiting for resolution. The mysterious case of Robert Levenson. The mysterious disappearance of Robert Levenson remains one of the most perplexing cases in modern international history. Born in Flushing, New York, in the year 1948, Levenson dedicated nearly 3 decades of his life to public service. He first served as an agent with the Drug Enforcement Administration and later joined the Federal Bureau of Investigation, where he spent the bulk of his career. After retiring in 1998, he transitioned into private investigation work. It was during one of these assignments that he vanished, on a trip to Kish Island, Iran, in March of 2007. Since that day, neither his family nor any confirmed source has been able to determine exactly what became of him. Kish Island, a resort destination under Iranian jurisdiction, allows visa-free access to citizens of several countries, including the United States. The island was developed as a commercial hub to attract international investment and tourism, but it has also carried a reputation as a center for illicit trade and underground dealings. Officially, Levenson had claimed that his trip to Kish was related to a cigarette smuggling investigation. However, it was later revealed that he was conducting unofficial intelligence work on behalf of the Central Intelligence Agency, despite being a retired agent. The individual Levenson was reportedly meeting was Dawood Salahuddin, an American citizen who had converted to Islam and defected to Iran after committing a politically motivated assassination in the United States. Salahuddin, living openly in Iran, had suggested that he might be willing to provide information of interest to American intelligence. Levenson met him at the Hotel Mariam on Kish Island. According to Salahuddin, the two were arrested shortly after their meeting. Salahuddin claims he was released the following day, while Levenson was not. 3 weeks later, Iranian state media briefly reported that Levenson had been taken into custody and would soon be released, but that release never occurred. The fact that Levenson may have been detained by Iranian authorities is not, in itself, especially shocking. What has made the case so baffling is the years of denial that followed. Despite the press TV report and statements made by Salahuddin, the Iranian government has continued to claim no knowledge of Levenson's whereabouts. On multiple occasions, Iranian officials have expressed a willingness to cooperate in locating him, but such efforts have yielded no results. The contradiction between the early reports and the subsequent denials has cast a long shadow of uncertainty over the case. Adding to the mystery, in late 2010, Levenson's family received a video showing him alive but in visibly declining health. Several months later, they received a set of photographs in which he appeared unshaven, gaunt, and holding signs written in English. These messages hinted at captivity and seemed to be aimed at prompting action from the United States government. However, the emails containing the video and images were sent from untraceable addresses, and their origin remains unknown. The Iranian government has denied any involvement in the creation or distribution of these materials. Curiously, the original message also demanded the release of a list of prisoners whose names did not match any known detainees, further deepening the confusion. Despite these developments, Levenson's case remained in legal and political limbo for over a decade. In 2020, a federal court in the United States officially declared Robert Levenson deceased in absentia. At the same time, his family was awarded $1.4 billion in damages to be paid from frozen Iranian assets. Years earlier, the Central Intelligence Agency had already paid his family $2.5 million in exchange for halting a potential lawsuit related to Levenson's covert assignment. Nevertheless, the legal conclusion did not bring closure. The United States Department of State continues to offer a reward of $20 million for information leading to the resolution of Levenson's case. President Trump, while still in office in 2020, publicly demanded answers from Iran. In recent developments, on the 21st of June, 2025, Levenson's children appeared in the media once more, asking for renewed efforts and calling upon President Trump to support a deeper investigation. In the years since Levenson's disappearance, several other American citizens held in Iran have been released through negotiations, including Siamak Namazi, Emad Shaghi, and Morad Tabaz. These cases suggest that diplomatic channels can lead to successful outcomes. However, Iran has continued to deny any responsibility for Levenson, maintaining that it had no role in his detention or subsequent disappearance. The mystery of Robert Levenson's case is compounded by the involvement of Salahuddin. For over 4 decades, Salahuddin has remained a fugitive in the eyes of American law enforcement. Living freely in Tehran, he has maintained a public profile as an English teacher, television editor, and writer. He has repeatedly acknowledged his past, even defending his controversial actions. Yet his unique role in the Levenson case, being the last known person to meet him and claiming to have been arrested with him, adds a complex layer to the already murky story. As United States-Iran relations continue to fluctuate, the fate of Robert Levenson remains a point of concern, not only for his family, but also as a symbol of unresolved tensions between the two nations. His story raises difficult questions about covert operations, international diplomacy, and the limits of accountability in an increasingly complicated world. Whether the full truth of what happened to Robert Levenson will ever be known is uncertain, but the persistence of his family, the ongoing public interest, and the unanswered questions ensure that his name will not be forgotten. The unsolved case of Jennifer Kessie. In January of 2006, 24-year-old Jennifer Kessie vanished without a trace from her Orlando, Florida condominium. What began as a routine morning quickly turned into a nightmare that has left her family, friends, and an entire community searching for answers nearly 2 decades later. Over the years, Jennifer's disappearance has become one of the most baffling and emotionally charged unsolved cases in the state of Florida. Jennifer was known by her loved ones as a responsible, hard-working, and loving young woman. At the time of her disappearance, she was living independently in her newly purchased condo at the Mosaic at Millenia Complex in Orlando. She had recently been promoted at her job as a finance manager at a timeshare company located in nearby Ocoee. With a bright future ahead of her, Jennifer was someone who seemed to have everything going for her: an active social life, a supportive family, and a promising career. Just days before she went missing, Jennifer had returned from a relaxing vacation in the Virgin Islands with her boyfriend. On Sunday, the 22nd of January, she stayed overnight at his residence before heading straight to work the next morning. According to co-workers and friends, Jennifer was in good spirits on Monday, the 23rd of January. She worked her full day, leaving the office at approximately 6 in the evening. She spoke to her father shortly after that and had her final phone conversation around 10 o'clock that night with her boyfriend. Nothing in those conversations suggested that anything was out of the ordinary. But by the morning of Tuesday, the 24th of January, everything changed. Jennifer failed to show up at work, which was extremely unlike her. Her absence raised immediate concern among co-workers, prompting her employer to reach out to her family. After several failed attempts to reach her by phone, Jennifer's parents, Joyce and Drew Kessie, made the 2-hour drive from Tampa to Orlando. When they arrived at her condo, they found no sign of Jennifer. What they did find was unsettling. Jennifer's clothes were laid out for work, a wet towel was hanging in the bathroom, and her makeup and hair tools appeared to have been used. It looked as though she had gotten ready for the day as usual, but had never made it out the door. Her car was missing, as were her purse, cell phone, and keys. Jennifer's boyfriend also confirmed that she had not contacted him that morning, which was unusual since she typically sent a text or made a brief call before work. The Kessie family immediately contacted the Orlando Police Department, and within hours, a missing person investigation was launched. The initial findings at her condo offered no evidence of a struggle or forced entry. Everything was intact, and there was no sign of disarray or distress. However, the absence of her car, phone, and keys suggested that she had either left willingly or been lured out under false pretenses. In the following days, the case intensified. On Thursday, the 26th of January, a major breakthrough occurred. Jennifer's black 2-door Chevrolet Malibu was discovered abandoned at another apartment complex located about 1 mile from her residence. Hope surged briefly that the car might offer new evidence. Surveillance cameras at the complex captured someone parking Jennifer's vehicle and walking away. However, what should have been a pivotal lead turned into another dead end. The security footage was grainy, and unfortunately, the individual's face was obscured in each frame by the bars of a decorative gate. Despite the widespread sharing of the video, the person's identity remains unknown to this day. Forensic teams thoroughly examined the car for fingerprints and DNA, but it appeared to have been wiped clean. The driver's seat was pushed far back, suggesting someone taller than Jennifer had last driven it. Still, this detail, like many others in the case, led to more questions than answers. As detectives worked tirelessly to uncover the truth, Jennifer's family began pursuing their own lines of inquiry. They discovered that the condominium complex where Jennifer lived had been undergoing renovations, with construction workers and contractors frequently present. Jennifer had confided to her parents and close friends that she felt uneasy around some of the men who worked there. She mentioned being whistled at and receiving unwanted attention, but she never thought it would lead to anything serious. This detail added a deeply troubling angle to the investigation. The construction workers, many of whom were undocumented and had moved between job sites, became a focus for detectives, but tracking them down and conducting formal interviews proved difficult, and no direct link between any of them and Jennifer's disappearance was ever found. Detectives also explored other leads. Jennifer had recently turned down romantic advances from a supervisor, and an ex-boyfriend had tried to reconnect, but both men were eventually ruled out as suspects. There were no confirmed eyewitnesses, no direct sightings, and no activity on Jennifer's phone or bank accounts after the night of her last known communication. One theory proposed that Jennifer may have been intercepted on her way to her car that morning. The time between when she would have left her apartment and when she was expected to arrive at work offered a short but critical window. Yet, without surveillance footage from the Mosaic complex, it was impossible to know exactly when or how she disappeared. As time went on, the case continued to stall. Jennifer's family, heartbroken but relentless, worked to keep her story in the public eye. They appeared on national news programs, held awareness events, and created a website and foundation in Jennifer's name. Their commitment to finding answers never wavered. Frustrated by the slow progress of the official investigation, the Kessie family hired private investigators to pursue alternate leads. Over the years, they also pushed for more transparency from law enforcement and fought legal battles to obtain access to Jennifer's case files. Their hope was that with more eyes on the information, new insights or forgotten clues might emerge. In 2018, Jennifer's case gained renewed attention when her family took over control of the case file and turned it over to a team of private investigators. The move reignited public interest, but even with fresh eyes on the documents, no significant new developments came to light. In May 2008, the Florida House of Representatives passed a bill named in honor of Jennifer Kessie and another missing woman, Tiffany Sessions. The bill sought to modernize the procedures surrounding missing persons cases in the state, helping to ensure that future cases might be solved more quickly and efficiently. Today, the disappearance of Jennifer Kessie remains unsolved. Nearly 20 years have passed since the morning she seemingly vanished into thin air. Yet her family continues to fight for answers and justice. They remain steadfast in their belief that someone, somewhere, knows what happened, and that one day, the truth will come to light. Jennifer Kessie's story is more than just a mystery. It's a reminder of the deep love of a family, the resilience of the human spirit, and the importance of never giving up hope. Her legacy continues to inspire awareness for other missing persons and has become a symbol for families who are still searching for their loved ones. Though time moves forward, Jennifer's presence remains etched in the hearts of those who knew and loved her. Until the day comes when answers finally emerge, the mystery of her disappearance remains a powerful call to keep looking, to keep asking, and to never stop believing that resolution is possible. The Grand Canyon, a breathtaking chasm carved over millions of years by the relentless force of the Colorado River, stands as one of the most iconic and mesmerizing natural wonders on Earth. Its majestic landscapes and awe-inspiring vistas have captured the imaginations of millions, drawing visitors from around the world. Yet, beneath its rugged facade, this geological marvel harbors a multitude of mysteries that continue to intrigue and baffle scientists, explorers, and adventurers alike. From enigmatic caves and unexplained disappearances to ancient geological secrets and elusive creatures, the Grand Canyon conceals a world of unanswered questions and uncharted territories that beckon us to explore and uncover its enduring secrets. A NASA employee went missing in the Grand Canyon. Every year, an alarming number of individuals, exceeding 250,000, are reported missing. However, this figure merely scratches the surface, as it is estimated that the actual number of unreported missing persons cases skyrockets to over 300,000 annually. With such an overwhelming volume of reports, it comes as no surprise that a significant majority of these cases remain unresolved. Nevertheless, amidst this sea of mysteries, there are certain clusters of missing persons cases that possess an uncanny air of peculiarity, capturing the attention of people and giving rise to inexplicable theories. These enigmatic occurrences, collectively known as the Missing 411, revolve around the unexplained disappearances of individuals within the vast expanses of national parks. Oddly enough, it is believed that many of these Missing 411 cases are not thoroughly investigated, leading some to speculate that a sinister supernatural or paranormal cover-up is at play within these untouched landscapes. Back on the 17th of June 2016, A man by the name of Floyd Roberts III had gone on a hiking trip with a longtime friend of his, Ned Bryant, and his friend's daughter, Madeline Bryant. However, after several hours of hiking together, Floyd suddenly disappeared from the group. As the weeks went on, and the investigation into the matter was never resolved, many began to wonder what exactly happened to Floyd Roberts within the very short span of time that he had wandered away from his group. According to Ned Bryant, he and Floyd had been lifelong friends since they were 10 years old, when they first met each other back in Princeton, New Jersey. Their friendship was so close that many would often think that Ned and Floyd were actually brothers. Their friendship would even coalesce and maintain throughout their entire lives, with Floyd Roberts serving as Ned's best man during his wedding several years prior. Unfortunately, due to work requirements and job opportunities, the two men were unable to live close to each other, with Floyd Roberts eventually moving out to the city of Huntsville, Alabama, where he spent a short period of time working as a software engineer for the National Aeronautics and Space Administration. After a short time of working for NASA, Floyd Roberts moved once more to work as a computer programming and game design teacher at Middleton High School, located in Treasure Island, Florida. However, throughout this time, Floyd and Ned decided to stay close friends and would meet up regularly to do an activity together. It was back in 1992 when Floyd and Ned decided that they would start hiking around the Grand Canyon a few times a year, as it would be a fun activity for them to both do that would also allow them to take a break from their lives momentarily and get some much-needed exercise. These routine hiking trips would continue for over the next 20 years together, where the two men became highly experienced campers and hikers, familiar with the Grand Canyon as it was their only hiking route. Even more interesting, the two men were so interested in hiking that they would often travel alone in their free time whenever the other was unable to join, showing that both men had experience navigating the known pathways of the area even when isolated and on their own. Several years later, Ned Bryant and a few other members of his family became board members of the Grand Canyon Hikers and Backpackers Association, often sharing tips with each other on the best pathways and means of travel throughout the area, and having been trained in travel safety when hiking through isolated parts of the Grand Canyon. Confident that the two would be perfectly safe during their journey, the men planned to take one of their longest hiking and camping trips yet, choosing to spend 9 days hiking through the Shivwitz Plateau, a pathway that would lead them out of the area through the Separation Canyon. Although the region was a typically less popular area to travel through, their decided route was considered to have been largely very safe, without any major pitfalls or ravines close to their trails. Additionally, the two men decided that the beginning of the journey would be the most relaxed, and planned on spending the first couple of days camping alongside the major river in the area before making their way out of the canyon. After careful consideration, the two men planned their trip and decided that their hike would end after 9 days on the 26th of June, 2016. At the last minute, Ned's daughter, Madeline Bryant, decided to join the group, and so the group decided that the easiest path down towards the river they had wanted to camp beside for a few days was to first reach the Grand Canyon Parashunt National Monument when entering from the furthest western portion of the Grand Canyon. The Grand Canyon Parashunt National Monument is considered to be a remote location and terribly underdeveloped given the lack of tourists that tend to visit the area. According to official park services, there are no known paved roads or laid-out trails leading to the national monument and no visitor services of any kind. Regardless, the group decided the open area and the lack of tourists would be a perfect staging ground to enter towards the river without the stress of strangers crowding around the area. Once the group was several miles away from the main trailhead of the area, the three travelers found themselves traveling over a large hill. Given Floyd Roberts' preference for a longer traveling time to help take in the scenery, he decided that he would take the slow rounding trail that followed the contours of the hill to reach the trailhead, whereas Madeline and Ned decided that a straight path over the hill would allow them to reach the trailhead faster and give them time to relax and take a quick rest. At around 4:45 in the afternoon, the group separated, with Ned and his daughter taking a straight-line path and Floyd Roberts following the trail that wrapped around the side of the hill. Several minutes later, Ned and Madeline would reach the trailhead and decide to take a short rest, waiting for Floyd Roberts to catch up to them. However, after about 20 minutes of waiting, the two started to worry that something had happened and immediately began retracing their steps to look for Floyd Roberts, who they assumed must have gotten lost somewhere along the contouring path. After spending several hours looking for Floyd Roberts, the two decided that it was too dark and dangerous for them to continue their search, and so made a campsite near the trailhead meeting spot in the hopes that Floyd Roberts would be able to locate them by their fire. Unfortunately, the two said that it appeared as if Floyd had just completely disappeared, and so Ned and Madeline hiked their way to the nearest area with cell phone reception to report Floyd Roberts as missing. The two reported Floyd Roberts' disappearance at around 3 in the afternoon on Saturday, June 18th. Almost immediately, a team of search and rescue working for the national park started their search for Floyd Roberts, covering a 10-mile radius of where he had last been seen by Ned Bryant and his daughter. The search and rescue originally showed up for the search efforts in high spirits, believing that Roberts would have been recovered quickly, given the fact that the weather in the area did not drop anywhere near freezing temperatures and stayed relatively high throughout the day and night. Additionally, Floyd Roberts had been carrying a week's supply of food and over 2 gallons of water in his backpack at the time of his disappearance, so it was believed that he would have more than enough supplies and years of experience to help him navigate his way towards help, if necessary. Over the next few days, an estimated 15 people were involved with the search and rescue of Floyd Roberts, with a team of sniffer dogs used to follow his scent. It was at around this time that a set of footprints had been discovered that followed down the direction of the trail that Ned and his daughter Madeline had claimed Floyd was last seen traveling down. As the dogs followed the trail, it appeared as if they had locked onto the scent of Roberts and continued in the direction of the footprints for several hundred feet before they suddenly stopped. Search and rescuers then noticed that the footprints of Floyd Roberts seemed to have suddenly disappeared, as if Roberts had been walking and then rose into the air and vanished. It was at this point that the National Park Service rescue helicopter was used to get aerial views of the surrounding 10-mile radius, but were unable to locate any signs of someone having fallen down any side paths or in any known areas. After 6 days of frantic searching and thousands of man-hours, the search and rescue for Floyd Roberts slowed down to a passive search. To this day, no sign of Roberts has been recovered, and his whereabouts remains a mystery. Mysterious lights. Nestled deep within the expansive and awe-inspiring beauty that is the Grand Canyon lies a phenomenon that continues to perplex and mesmerize those who dare to explore its depths: the enigmatic phantom lights. Often referred to as ghost lights or spook lights, these mysterious luminous anomalies have been witnessed and documented by a multitude of visitors, park rangers, and dedicated researchers. Their ethereal presence adds an extra layer of intrigue and enchantment to the already captivating marvels of the canyon. The presence of phantom lights in the Grand Canyon is not a recent phenomenon. In fact, it can be traced back to more than a century ago, as evidenced by the documented reports of early explorers and settlers. These historical accounts contribute significantly to the mystique surrounding this intriguing occurrence, since they precede the era of advanced scientific inquiry and technological advancements that could potentially offer more precise explanations. Since the early days of the Grand Canyon's exploration, there have been numerous reports of inexplicable lights that appear and disappear within the depths of the canyon. During the early days, when brave explorers bravely ventured through the challenging and rough landscape of the canyon, they repeatedly shared their remarkable encounters with peculiar and radiant orbs, as well as flickering lights that gracefully danced along the ancient walls and towering ridges, especially during the profound darkness of night. These captivating and mystical displays never failed to evoke a range of emotions within the witnesses, encompassing a mixture of admiration, trepidation, and fascination. The impact of these ethereal illuminations left an indelible mark on the memories of those fortunate enough to behold such awe-inspiring spectacles. Phantom lights within the vast expanse of the Grand Canyon possess an intriguing and mysterious nature that captivates all those who witness them. People who have observed these phenomena consistently report a set of distinctive attributes that define their ethereal essence. Among the various paranormal phenomena often witnessed in the depths of the canyon, the appearance of ghostly orbs of light holds a prominent place. These ethereal spheres, seemingly weightless and untethered, have been widely reported by many individuals. These luminescent spheres emanate a gentle and ethereal luminosity, creating a striking juxtaposition against the encompassing obscurity. An additional frequently observed phenomenon encompasses abrupt and mysterious eruptions of highly luminous flashes that seemingly manifest without any discernible cause. These flashes, though ephemeral, possess an extraordinary intensity, momentarily illuminating the vertical cliffs of the canyon. Their origin remains enigmatic, shrouded in ambiguity and intrigue, adding to the mystique of this captivating natural wonder. Some individuals who have witnessed these mysterious lights have provided accounts of them resembling flickering flames or lanterns. What is particularly intriguing is the way in which these lights seem to move with intention, as if being guided by an unseen force with intelligence. The breathtaking display of the phantom lights captivates the onlookers with its mesmerizing variety of colors, ranging from dazzling shades of white and blue to intriguing hues of green and unsettling tones of red. The wide spectrum of colors enhances the enchantment and enigma surrounding these ethereal lights. One aspect of the mysterious lights that baffles observers is their seemingly intelligent behavior and deliberate mobility. According to eyewitness accounts, these lights often follow distinct paths or trajectories, challenging conventional interpretations of natural occurrences. It is intriguing to note that these lights demonstrate a degree of purpose and intention in their movement, defying our understanding of how they are able to do this. Before delving into the specifics of mysterious sightings at the Grand Canyon, it is essential to establish the existence of unidentified objects as a real and genuine phenomena. Unidentified flying objects are typically described as aerial anomalies that defy conventional explanation, and these objects have been reported by credible witnesses ranging from pilots and military personnel to ordinary citizens. The sheer volume of sightings, along with corroborating radar data and credible testimonies, suggests that UFOs cannot be easily dismissed as mere delusions or hoaxes. The Grand Canyon, known for its vast and challenging landscape, provides the perfect backdrop for UFO phenomena to occur without garnering much attention from the public. Although sightings have been reported in various parts of the globe, the Grand Canyon stands out due to the remarkable consistency and credibility of these accounts. This expansive natural wonder, with its remote and rugged terrain, becomes a hidden playground for unidentified flying objects. The secluded nature of the canyon allows for UFO activity to go unnoticed or undetected by the general population, contributing to the mystique surrounding this phenomenon. One of the most intriguing and captivating instances of UFO sightings in the majestic Grand Canyon transpired during the balmy summer of 1953. Amidst their intrepid expedition into the inner recesses of the canyon, a group of avid hikers were astounded as they bore witness to a mesmerizing display of luminous, saucer-shaped objects suspended in the air just above the formidable canyon walls. Their testimonies, meticulously detailed and steadfastly consistent, painted a vivid picture of the otherworldly spectacle they encountered. The celestial vessels seemed to maneuver with unparalleled coordination, defying the very laws of physics that govern our understanding of the universe. Adding to the weight of these remarkable accounts, park rangers stationed in the vicinity corroborated the hikers' stories, lending substantial credibility to these extraordinary sightings. Such a profound occurrence continues to fascinate and captivate the minds of those who delve into the realm of unexplained phenomena. One of the most captivating and thought-provoking aspects surrounding UFO sightings at the Grand Canyon revolves around the active participation of the military. Extensive documentation confirms the United States military's deep fascination with UFO phenomena, and their presence within the confines of the Grand Canyon only adds layers of intrigue and mystique to the phenomenon. Numerous first-hand accounts and reports allude to military aircraft being deployed to intercept and thoroughly investigate unidentified flying objects observed in the vicinity of the canyon. These encounters have yielded perplexing and unexplained occurrences, including instances of electromagnetic disruption and temporary loss of communication between the military aircraft and their base. The involvement of the military in such incidents only serves to intensify the enigma surrounding UFO sightings at the Grand Canyon. In the year 1967, a highly publicized event took place near the majestic Grand Canyon involving a military aircraft and an unidentified flying object, widely known as a UFO. The experienced pilot of the military jet reported an astonishing encounter with the mysterious object, describing its extraordinary maneuverability and unparalleled speed. Despite the pilot's relentless pursuit, the elusive object managed to outwit its captors, disappearing into the vast expanse of the sky. This captivating incident, along with numerous similar occurrences, lends substantial support to the notion that there is undoubtedly something truly remarkable unraveling in the airspace above the Grand Canyon. The incident that unfolded more than 5 decades ago continues to intrigue and confound not only the pilot, but also his superiors and the scientific community as a whole. Such unexplained encounters serve as compelling evidence, offering credibility and resonance to the hypothesis that unknown phenomena are transpiring within the depths of the Grand Canyon's airspace. UFO sightings at the Grand Canyon have piqued the curiosity of not just the military and eyewitnesses, but also a number of esteemed scientists. While some scientists remain skeptical, there is a growing contingent that believes the evidence surrounding these phenomena cannot be ignored. They advocate for a scientific examination of sightings in order to unravel their origins and better understand their nature. In the past few years, there has been an emergence of a fascinating idea among researchers to conduct controlled experiments and observations within the stunning landscape of the Grand Canyon. The purpose behind these endeavors is twofold: to capture potential UFO activity on camera and to gather irrefutable scientific data. The intentions are clear: to shed light on the perplexing phenomena that have perplexed and intrigued countless individuals throughout the course of history. Although the scientific community remains divided when it comes to the validity of UFO sightings, the Grand Canyon presents a truly unparalleled opportunity for further exploration and investigation. One of the most captivating and fascinating concepts associated with the observation of unidentified flying objects within the confines of the magnificent Grand Canyon is the notion that these peculiar aerial phenomena might originate from beings hailing from distant galaxies. Although this hypothesis may initially appear implausible or even fantastical to certain individuals, it is imperative to acknowledge that it should not be hastily disregarded. The vast expanse of the universe, coupled with the potential existence of other intelligent civilizations, renders the idea of extraterrestrial visitations a viable and logical explanation for certain UFO sightings witnessed within this awe-inspiring natural wonder. If we consider the possibility of extraterrestrial beings, the secluded and isolated nature of the Grand Canyon adds to its appeal as an alluring destination for interstellar travelers. The canyon's unforgiving and rugged landscape not only offers a natural camouflage for their activities, but also conceals their presence from prying eyes. Additionally, the sheer magnificence of its awe-inspiring vistas may possess some intrinsic cosmic significance that attracts these celestial visitors. It is plausible to speculate that these otherworldly beings could be engrossed in the study of Earth's intricate geological history, using the Grand Canyon as a living laboratory to unravel the mysteries of our planet's evolution. Undoubtedly, the sightings that occur above the iconic Grand Canyon evoke immense fascination and bewilderment, making them an enigmatic phenomenon that cannot be easily dismissed. The substantial number of credible eyewitness accounts, involvement of military personnel, scientific curiosity, and the intriguing possibility of encounters with extraterrestrial beings all contribute to the captivating mystique that surrounds these events. While skeptics may persist in questioning the authenticity of such UFO sightings, it is imperative to approach this subject matter with an open and receptive mindset, venturing into unexplored realms of our world and the vast cosmos beyond. The Grand Canyon, with its incomparable natural splendor, remains an epicenter for those eager to delve into the cosmic enigmas that hover above its majestic cliffs, ceaselessly yearning to comprehend the unknown. The tour guide that vanished. 22-year-old Morgan Elias Heimer, employed as a commercial guide by Tour West, a reputable rafting company, found himself in an unexpected situation during a harrowing 8-day expedition along the majestic Colorado River. On the 6th day of the arduous journey, fate took a bewildering turn when Heimer mysteriously vanished without a trace, leaving his fellow travelers and colleagues astonished and deeply concerned for his safety. Morgan Heimer, originally hailing from the picturesque town of Cody in Wyoming, embarked on an educational journey at the esteemed University of Wyoming, where he fervently pursued a degree in English. With a wealth of experience in navigating the great outdoors and possessing an unparalleled expertise as a river guide. On the afternoon of Tuesday, June 2nd, 2015, at around 4 in the afternoon, Morgan was sighted in the vicinity of River Mile 213, specifically near Pumpkin Springs, within the breathtaking expanse of Grand Canyon National Park. It was the last known sighting of Morgan in this area. During their conversation, Heimer mentioned to the lead guide that he needed some time off that afternoon. The lead guide, briefly detaching himself from the cliff where they were stationed, stepped away to attend to a client. Upon his return, however, the lead guide was taken aback to find that Heimer had vanished without a trace. Initially assuming that Heimer had decided to take a break, the guide awaited his return. Unfortunately, Heimer never reappeared, leaving everyone puzzled and concerned about his sudden disappearance. The individual was officially reported as missing at 7:26 in the evening on the same day by a member of the river trip. The report was made following a group swimming activity in the river, as the individual did not show up for dinner. According to the available information, at the time of his disappearance, he was wearing a personal flotation device from Astral in a dark color, a long-sleeved shirt with a blue plaid pattern, Chaco flip-flop sandals, a maroon baseball cap, and brightly colored shorts. Additionally, he was carrying a water bottle colored in purple. The concern over his well-being and whereabouts led to the immediate reporting of his disappearance. This incident occurred after the group's river excursion, during which the individual engaged in swimming activities in the river. According to those conducting the search, it was expressed that the individual in question possesses the necessary skills and capabilities to effectively carry out the assigned tasks, and is highly probable to be successfully found. The evaluators were confident in the individual's qualifications and believed that their competencies align with the job requirements. In a determined effort to locate the missing individual, park rangers and search and rescue teams tirelessly scoured the extensive stretch of the river, along with conducting thorough inspections of the surrounding land encompassing Pumpkin Springs. Recognizing the need to widen their search, they expanded their efforts to include Diamond Creek, located approximately 12 miles west of Pumpkin Springs. To gather any potential leads, interviews were conducted with fellow employees of the Tour West Guide Service, clients who had embarked on the same river trip, as well as representatives from other river outfitters and their clients. Despite these exhaustive endeavors, no trace of the missing individual was found. The mystery of Celinda Weingar. On the 21st of March, 1979, Celinda Weingar, a high school student from Burlington, Vermont, stepped out of her family's home on Forest Street with the intention of visiting a friend. She was never seen by her family again. What followed would become one of the most quietly unsettling and unresolved mysteries in Vermont's history. Celinda was the youngest of 6 children, raised in a devout Roman Catholic household. With a 13-year age gap between her and the next oldest sibling, she was often described as the baby of the family. Her upbringing was strict but loving, and she attended Burlington High School at the time of her disappearance. Those closest to her described her as bright, gentle, and slightly reserved, though in the months leading up to her vanishing, a noticeable shift began to emerge in her social circle. Family members grew concerned when Celinda started spending time with a new group of individuals, people she had not previously been associated with. The change came with troubling consequences. Her family received a series of menacing phone calls during this time. These calls were vague in content, but ominous in tone, and they only stopped once the family changed their number to an unlisted line. Whether these calls were connected to Celinda's disappearance remains unknown, but the timing has never sat comfortably with her relatives. Soon after she failed to return home, the Weingar family received a chilling anonymous phone call. The voice on the other end claimed that Celinda had been taken and that her remains would be found in the Winooski River. Law enforcement did not search the river in response to the call, and the tip was ultimately left unexplored and unverified. Years later, in 1985, a friend of one of Celinda's sisters claimed to have discovered a clump of blonde hair while fishing in that same river. Whether this discovery was ever formally investigated remains unclear. No physical evidence tying Celinda to the area was ever recovered. Despite the disturbing nature of these clues, the official stance from law enforcement for many years was that Celinda had most likely run away voluntarily. This theory was never fully embraced by her family, who believed she would not have left without telling someone, especially without taking any of her belongings or giving a more detailed explanation. There were occasional reports of sightings over the years. One relative claimed to have seen a young woman resembling Celinda standing silently at the back of a church during her father's funeral in 1981. The woman reportedly left before anyone could approach her. Like the others, this sighting was never confirmed. Still, the possibility that Celinda may have been alive, quietly watching from a distance, haunts her family to this day. Now, decades later, both of Celinda's parents have passed away without ever learning what became of their daughter. Her siblings, however, have not given up hope. They continue to search for answers, speak her name, and share her story, believing that someone, somewhere, may still know what happened. Celinda Weingar's case remains unsolved. The unsolved case of James Charles Stanford. James Charles Stanford vanished under mysterious circumstances on the 1st of May 1971. His disappearance has puzzled both family and amateur sleuths for decades, not only because of how little is known about his final movements, but also because of a peculiar detail that emerged the following year. In the 1972 high school yearbook, James appeared in the juniors section, raising immediate questions about the timeline of his disappearance. While it's not uncommon for dates in missing persons cases to be misremembered or misrecorded, this photographic evidence appears to contradict the accepted date of when James went missing. James, who had expressed an interest in going to a convent in either California or Texas, had apparently told family members of his intentions before he disappeared. Whether this was a deeply thought-out plan or simply an idea he had been toying with remains uncertain. What is clear is that no trace of him has been found since. Many who have reviewed his case suspect he never made it to any convent. Some believe he may have attempted to hitchhike and ended up in a dangerous or vulnerable situation that ultimately led to his disappearance. A widely discussed theory is that James may in fact be the unidentified individual known as Clinton John Doe, discovered in 1972. Clinton John Doe bore a striking resemblance to James and matched his physical description. Furthermore, the unidentified individual had items in his possession that aligned with what James likely carried at the time. One of those items was a pay stub from a place where James was believed to have worked, suggesting a strong possible link between the two identities. DNA testing is currently underway to compare samples from living family members in hopes that modern science can confirm or deny this possibility. Statements from family members add emotional weight and personal insight into the mystery. A relative shared that James had a girlfriend, and according to her family, they drove him out of the St. Louis area, saying he wanted to go to California. However, his family has always doubted that he truly planned to head west. According to them, James was dropped off on the side of the road and never seen again. Another family member noted that the last time James was seen was on his birthday, just days before he went missing. There is speculation within the family that something may have happened involving the girlfriend's relatives, possibly an accident while walking along a highway or some form of foul play that was never reported. James did not appear to have a clear or structured destination in mind, which makes his case even more difficult to trace. If he was truly hitchhiking with no fixed plan, it's entirely plausible that his body ended up far from his point of origin, making recovery and identification more complex. The idea that he could be Clinton John Doe is compelling, and if confirmed, it would finally offer some closure to a case that has lingered in uncertainty for over 50 years. As of today, James Charles Stanford would be 70 years old. Whether he managed to start a new life in anonymity or met a tragic fate, the mystery of his disappearance remains unresolved. The strange case of Jojo Boswell. Jojo Boswell, a 19-year-old indigenous woman, vanished under troubling and mysterious circumstances shortly after her release from jail in Owatonna, Minnesota. On the afternoon of the 11th of July, 2005, she was last seen walking near Mills Fleet Farm, just off Interstate 35, between approximately 2:30 and 3 o'clock in the afternoon. She had just been released from the Steele County Jail minutes earlier. Witnesses observed her interacting with an unidentified person. The two spoke briefly before walking off together. From that moment onward, Jojo Boswell disappeared without a trace. Her sudden vanishing has haunted her family and the community for nearly 2 decades. Boswell's interests included drawing, dancing, and music. She was described as a creative, vibrant young woman who had much to offer. Prior to her disappearance, she was known to spend time in Minneapolis, particularly around 31st Avenue and 4th Avenue. Those familiar with her say she had hopes for a better future and had many dreams still left to fulfill. What makes this case especially frustrating is how quickly she disappeared after being released. It raises uncomfortable questions about what safety measures, if any, were in place to ensure her well-being upon her release. Though she had just stepped out of a correctional facility, Jojo was not a person society should forget. She was a daughter, a friend, and part of a wider community that continues to seek answers. Despite a reported sighting and brief interaction shortly after her release, authorities have not identified the individual who was last seen with her. No physical evidence or reliable leads have emerged in the years since her disappearance. The lack of information has left investigators with very little to work with, and her case has since grown cold. The Minneapolis Police Department took over the investigation due to Jojo's previous presence in the city, but even with more resources and attention, there has been no confirmed progress in locating her or uncovering what happened. Her case is not an isolated one. Indigenous women have been disappearing across North America at alarming rates, often without the attention and urgency that other missing persons receive. Jojo's story, sadly, reflects this larger pattern of overlooked disappearances. Her family and community continue to advocate for justice, holding on to hope that someone, somewhere, knows what happened that day and will eventually come forward. After all these years, the mystery surrounding Jojo Boswell remains unresolved. Her disappearance on what should have been a routine day, just minutes after gaining her freedom, has become a symbol of the many unknowns surrounding missing Indigenous women. While time has passed, her name continues to be spoken by those who love her. Until answers are found, Jojo's story serves as a painful reminder of how some individuals seem to vanish into thin air, leaving behind questions that deserve resolution and a community that refuses to forget her. North Korea is known for its secretive and isolated nature, which has led to numerous unsolved mysteries and unanswered questions over the years. While the secretive regime tightly controls information, some mysteries have managed to capture international attention. The mystery of the North Korean ghost ships. In an extensive inquiry, Japanese authorities are probing a series of mysterious vessels discovered adrift along the country's shores, each carrying individuals who had passed away on board. The investigation is focused on unraveling the mysteries surrounding these unsettling occurrences. As of now, a total of 11 wooden boats have been discovered, with some of them showing significant signs of damage. Authorities are currently conducting a thorough investigation into the circumstances surrounding the appearance of the boats, with a particular focus on tracing their origin. In a distressing revelation, a Coast Guard spokesperson disclosed that several boats have been discovered containing as many as 20 individuals on board. This chilling discovery sheds light on the harrowing reality faced by individuals attempting perilous sea crossings. In recent years, multiple vessels have been discovered in the waters of the Sea of Japan, also referred to as the East Sea in North and South Korea. These findings occurred both this month and the preceding one, raising intriguing questions about the origins and intentions of the boats. Numerous vessels have been towed to ports in Japan. However, the process of identifying the individuals on board remains ongoing. The most recent boat that has been located was brought to land at Fukui port, revealing the presence of 3 sets of remains on board. The Maritime Patrol Unit of the Coastal Defense Force identified the vessel approximately 100 kilometers, equivalent to 62 miles away from the shore. The Tokyo Broadcasting System made a statement indicating that the discovered remains were in an advanced state of decomposition. Japan's national broadcaster, NHK, recently disclosed that a fragment of fabric suspected to originate from a North Korean flag was discovered within a vessel. Additionally, inscriptions indicating the Korean People's Army were noted on the exterior of the same vessel. The presence of these peculiar items has sparked intrigue and speculation among experts and officials, prompting a deeper investigation into the origins and implications of such findings. Upon thorough examination, specialists probing the incident have put forth the notion that these vessels and remains might be linked to fishermen from North Korea. In the wake of multiple poor agricultural seasons, the isolated nation is actively engaged in efforts to enhance the quantity of fish caught by its fishermen. Following a series of unfavorable harvests, the nation has embarked on initiatives to boost productivity. The navigational instruments used for fishing are intricate to operate and are notably devoid of essential tools like radars. According to insights shared by a maritime specialist with NHK, these vessels might have been adrift for an extended period, possibly spanning several months, with their locations remaining unknown to anyone. In more extensive discussions, individuals have suggested that the boats might represent individuals striving to flee from the authoritarian regime of the communist state. North Korean vessels frequently appear in the coastal communities of Japan, with an average of around 12 ships from North Korea washing ashore annually along the beaches and harbors. The majority of these ships arrive empty, lacking any signs of life, or containing remnants of wood fuel. On some occasions, these vessels are discovered to house crews of deceased individuals, intensifying concerns about the mysteries associated with North Korea, known for its strict military presence and secretive activities. The presence of these vessels evokes a sense of unease and raises questions about the unknown events unfolding within the borders of North Korea. These occurrences serve as a poignant reminder of the strange and potentially perilous nature of the region, leaving observers pondering the stories and fates of those who embarked on these eerie journeys. The unsettling discoveries on these vessels serve as a stark testament to the complex and shadowy realm that is North Korea, prompting speculation and instilling a sense of foreboding in those who bear witness to these eerie maritime encounters. In the last year alone, a staggering 14 mysterious ghost ships have washed ashore on Japanese coasts, carrying a grim tally of over 30 deceased individuals. These unsettling occurrences continue to baffle Japanese authorities, leaving them grappling with the perplexing question of why these vessels are drifting to their shores, as well as seeking to unravel the mysteries surrounding the unfortunate fate of those on board. The relentless arrival of these ghost ships provokes a sense of unease and curiosity among the investigators, who remain puzzled by the lack of concrete explanations for these haunting phenomena. The prevailing consensus suggests that the individuals found on these boats are likely defectors, individuals who attempted to flee the rule of North Korea only to meet their tragic demise and be disposed of at sea. However, a noted Japanese specialist in North Korean affairs, Satoru Miyamoto, presents a contrasting viewpoint. Miyamoto posits that these deceased individuals could be fishermen, potentially hailing from the commercial sector of North Korea. This perspective challenges the widely accepted belief regarding the origins of these mysterious boats and the fate of those on board. Miyamoto's assertion introduces a compelling alternative narrative, questioning the prevalent assumption of defection-related tragedies. Miyamoto holds the belief that the fishermen in question lack any background in military or naval practices, indicating a probable scenario of them becoming disoriented at sea, leading to a tragic fate amidst the harsh marine environment. The vast expanse of the ocean is prone to severe and unpredictable weather conditions, including the menacing threat of typhoons. The potential perils faced by these individuals are harsh, spanning from starvation and hypothermia to the risk of accidental falls overboard. Kim Jong-un's disappearance. In the realm of international politics, few figures loom as large as North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. Since assuming power following the passing of his father, Kim Jong-il, in 2011, Kim Jong-un has commanded attention with his authoritarian rule, nuclear ambitions, and unpredictable behavior. Yet, despite his prominence on the world stage, Kim Jong-un's mysterious disappearances from the public eye on multiple occasions have sparked speculation about his health and the stability of his regime. The first notable instance of Kim Jong-un's disappearance occurred in 2014, when he vanished from public view for over 6 weeks, leading to rampant speculation about his health and the stability of the North Korean regime. During his absence, rumors swirled about potential health issues, ranging from a bout of gout to a more serious medical condition, such as a heart attack or stroke. The amount of information from North Korean state media only served to fuel speculation, leading to widespread rumors and conjecture about Kim Jong-un's whereabouts and well-being. In the absence of concrete information, analysts and observers scrutinized every available piece of evidence for clues about Kim Jong-un's health and the implications for the North Korean regime. Satellite imagery of Kim Jong-un's residence and other key locations in Pyongyang was analyzed for signs of unusual activity or increased security measures, while defectors and sources within North Korea were interrogated for any insights they could provide. Yet, despite these efforts, the true nature of Kim Jong-un's disappearance remained shrouded in mystery, leaving observers to speculate about the potential implications for North Korea's future. Kim Jong-un's disappearance from the public eye resurfaced in 2020 when he vanished once again amid rumors of failing health. Speculation reached fever pitch when Kim Jong-un missed the celebration of his grandfather's birthday on April 15th, a significant event in the North Korean calendar that is typically marked by lavish festivities and displays of loyalty to the ruling Kim dynasty. As days turned into weeks without any sign of Kim Jong-un, speculation about his health and the stability of the North Korean regime reached a fever pitch, with rumors swirling about potential succession plans and power struggles within the ruling elite. The uncertainty surrounding Kim Jong-un's disappearance underscored the opaque and secretive nature of the North Korean regime, where information is tightly controlled and dissent is ruthlessly suppressed. In the absence of reliable information from official channels, rumors and speculation run rampant, leading to a climate of uncertainty and anxiety both within North Korea and among the international community. The reappearance of Kim Jong-un weeks later, seemingly healthy and in control, did little to quell speculation about his health or the stability of his regime. While North Korean state media sought to portray him as a strong and capable leader, questions lingered about the true nature of his absence and the extent of his power within the regime. Some analysts speculated that Kim Jong-un's disappearance may have been a deliberate ploy to gauge loyalty and weed out potential rivals, while others suggested that it may have been a genuine health scare that underscored the fragility of his regime. The underground tunnels of North Korea. In the shadowy depths beneath the surface of North Korea lies a labyrinthine network of tunnels that serves as a testament to the regime's ingenuity, paranoia, and determination to safeguard its sovereignty at all costs. These underground passages, spanning hundreds of kilometers and burrowing deep into the earth, are a testament to the regime's commitment to secrecy and self-preservation, offering a glimpse into the hidden world of one of the world's most secretive and authoritarian states. The origins of North Korea's underground tunnels can be traced back to the Korean War, when the regime of Kim Il-sung embarked on an ambitious program to construct a network of secret passages beneath the demilitarized zone that separates North and South Korea. These tunnels, known as the Third Infiltration Tunnel and the Second Infiltration Tunnel, were designed to facilitate covert incursions into South Korea and serve as a means of surprise attack in the event of hostilities between the two Koreas. The Third Infiltration Tunnel, discovered by South Korean forces in 1978, is perhaps the most well-known of North Korea's underground passages. Measuring over 1.6 kilometers in length and located just 44 kilometers from Seoul, the tunnel was designed to accommodate the rapid movement of troops and equipment and enable surprise attacks on South Korean territory. Despite North Korea's claims that the tunnel was intended for coal mining, evidence suggests otherwise, with its dimensions and construction consistent with military use. The discovery of the Third Infiltration Tunnel sparked alarm and outrage in South Korea, leading to increased tensions and a heightened sense of vigilance along the DMZ. In response, South Korean forces embarked on a program of tunnel detection and countermeasures, employing advanced technology and surveillance techniques to uncover and neutralize any further incursions by North Korean forces. Despite these efforts, North Korea's underground tunneling program continued unabated, with subsequent discoveries revealing the existence of additional tunnels beneath the DMZ. The Second Infiltration Tunnel, discovered in 1975, and the Fourth Infiltration Tunnel, discovered in 1990, are believed to be part of a larger network of underground passages designed to facilitate covert operations and surprise attacks on South Korean territory. In addition to their military significance, North Korea's underground tunnels also serve as a means of protecting the regime's leadership and preserving its ability to govern in the event of a conflict or uprising. Deep beneath the surface of Pyongyang, the capital city of North Korea, lies a sprawling complex of underground bunkers and command centers that are designed to withstand even the most devastating of military attacks. These underground facilities, known as the Underground Palace or the Metro of Pyongyang, are believed to house key government officials, military commanders, and strategic assets, ensuring the regime's survival in the event of a nuclear strike or conventional invasion. Equipped with state-of-the-art communications equipment, food and water supplies, and medical facilities, these underground bunkers are a testament to the regime's determination to maintain control and resist external threats at all costs. Yet, despite the regime's efforts to conceal the existence of its underground tunnels and bunkers, evidence of their existence has gradually come to light through defector testimonies, satellite imagery, and the occasional discovery by South Korean forces. While the true extent of North Korea's underground network remains shrouded in secrecy, it is clear that these tunnels play a critical role in the regime's military strategy and its ability to withstand external pressure. In recent years, North Korea's underground tunnels have garnered renewed attention amid escalating tensions on the Korean peninsula and the regime's ongoing development of nuclear weapons and ballistic missiles. As the threat of conflict looms ever larger, the existence of these tunnels serves as a sobering reminder of the regime's willingness to resort to extreme measures to ensure its survival and maintain its grip on power. While some of these tunnels have been discovered and made public, the full extent of North Korea's tunneling activities remains a mystery. Mysterious unmanned plane spotted in North Korea. In the latest commercial satellite images analyzed by NK-Pro, a significant discovery emerged. A sizable, advanced North Korean military drone made its debut. This milestone indicates an ongoing exploration of unmanned aerial vehicle technology within the nation, aligning closely with the strategic objectives set by leader Kim Jong-un. The unveiling of this new drone serves as a testament to North Korea's continuous efforts to advance its UAV capabilities and strengthen its military arsenal. The recently unveiled aircraft seems to boast a wingspan of approximately 115 feet, equal to 35 meters, marking a significant increase in size compared to a model with a wingspan of roughly 65 feet or 20 meters that was observed on the runway of the Pangyon Air Base by NK-Pro on June 3rd. This event marked the first instance where the Democratic People's Republic of Korea has been recorded testing a contemporary drone. The most recent satellite imagery from Planet Labs reveals the presence of an aircraft sporting slender wings that bear a striking resemblance to established foreign drone models. This aircraft was spotted in close proximity to the location where a smaller aircraft was observed just last week, situated at the eastern terminus of the runway. In the realm of aerial technology, there exists a foreign counterpart that bears a striking resemblance, when viewed from above, to the RQ-4A Global Hawk, an aircraft conceptualized by the United States during the late 1990s. This foreign model mirrors the dimensions of the Global Hawk in terms of wingspan. In addition to the presence of the aircraft, various vehicles were observed in the vicinity of the runway. According to an expert interviewed by NK-Pro recently, the vehicles or items spotted in similar locations on June 3rd might have been equipped with specialized tools like antennas essential for the testing of drone flights. This suggests the possibility of conducting drone flight experiments in the area. The specialized equipment carried by these vehicles could play a crucial role in facilitating and monitoring the drone testing processes. The detailed imagery provided by Planet Labs did not indicate any activities related to testing at the airbase. However, during this period, there was observed ongoing activity focusing on repainting the runway stripes, suggesting maintenance and improvement work being conducted at the airbase. North Korean official media outlets have remained silent on advancements in the country's drone technology since January 2021, following Kim Jong-un's call for the production of unmanned striking equipment and reconnaissance drones capable of covering a distance of 310 miles or 500 kilometers by the conclusion of 2025. This directive from the North Korean leader emphasized the urgency of enhancing their unmanned aerial capabilities within a specific time frame to meet strategic objectives. The purpose behind the presence of the two aircraft observed at Pangyon Air Base this month is ambiguous as to whether they are designated for combat operations or reconnaissance missions. The developmental phase of every aircraft remains undisclosed, adding a layer of mystery to the situation. It is anticipated that state media will refrain from revealing specific information or arranging an inspection by Kim Jong-un until the aircraft projects have significantly progressed. This secretive approach suggests a deliberate strategy to maintain confidentiality and keep crucial details under wraps until a later stage. The mysterious demise of Otto Warmbier. The untimely demise of Otto Warmbier on Monday, June 19th, sheds light on the intricacies of the North Korean regime. His situation stands out due to its rarity, as North Korea typically does not subject its foreign detainees to physical abuse resulting in long-lasting harm. The details surrounding the 22-year-old student's ordeal during his roughly 18 months of confinement in North Korea, which commenced in January of the previous year, remain largely elusive. Following his repatriation to the United States mere days before his passing, medical professionals attending to Warmbier highlighted a significant loss of brain tissue that occurred during his time in North Korea. They noted from MRI scans that he likely sustained a brain injury soon after receiving a harsh 15-year sentence of hard labor in March 2016. Despite thorough examinations, there were no compelling indications of physical assault, coercion, or similar mistreatment. North Korean medical personnel attributed his condition to botulism and the consumption of a sleeping aid that rendered him unresponsive, whereas American doctors found no substantiating evidence of botulism in their assessments. During his ordeal in North Korean captivity, the circumstances surrounding Warmbier's treatment remain shrouded in mystery. However, it is sadly not uncommon for individuals to endure inhumane conditions under the North Korean regime. The extended duration of Warmbier's captivity, despite his deteriorating health, highlights a troubling disregard for basic human rights when political agendas take precedence. This situation epitomizes the harsh reality faced by individuals detained in North Korea, where humanitarian principles often take a back seat to political expediency. The lack of transparency regarding Warmbier's treatment underscores the systematic opacity and cruelty prevalent within the North Korean detention system. This incident serves as a stark reminder of the grave human rights abuses that persist within the confines of North Korean detention facilities, where individuals like Warmbier are left vulnerable to the whims of a regime. In the midst of the international jests aimed at the leader and personality cult of North Korea, it is crucial not to overlook the grim reality that the country is still deeply entrenched in the grip of a severe police state. Within the confines of North Korea, countless individuals face atrocities comparable to, or in some instances, surpassing the ordeal endured by Warmbier. The labor camps in North Korea stand as stark reminders of the ruthless regime, where individuals find themselves incarcerated for actions that would not even be considered criminal in most Western legal systems. Instead, the North Korean government deems these acts as politically subversive, such as the mere act of introducing foreign cultural influences. It is unimaginable in any other context than that of an oppressively totalitarian regime for a young man like Warmbier to receive a 15-year sentence of grueling labor for attempting to pilfer a propaganda banner. The North Korean authorities alleged that he had colluded with a church in his homeland to orchestrate the overthrow of the state system, yet they failed to provide substantial evidence to support their claims. This incident exemplifies the extreme measures and unjust practices that prevail in North Korea, shedding light on the deep-rooted repression and lack of basic freedoms endured by its populace. In trying to comprehend the North Korean response to the situation, the strategic rationale behind their actions appears perplexing. Throughout history, North Korea has exhibited a pattern of releasing detained Americans subsequent to visits by significant American dignitaries. An illustrative instance of this occurred in August 2009, when American journalists Una Lee and Laura Ling regained their freedom from North Korean captivity. This liberation transpired subsequent to a visit to Pyongyang by former President Bill Clinton, who orchestrated their repatriation after their capture in March of the same year. Another noteworthy incident transpired in 2014 when the then Director of National Intelligence, James Clapper, journeyed to Pyongyang with the objective of facilitating the return of imprisoned Americans Kenneth Bae and Todd Miller. Remarkably, during his interactions, Clapper noted the discontent of his North Korean counterparts upon realizing that his visit was not aimed at securing any diplomatic advantages for Pyongyang. This sequence of events underscores the intricate and enigmatic dynamics involved in North Korea's handling of such cases. North Korea's treatment of Otto Warmbier starkly contrasts with its usual behavior, as it seemingly served no clear purpose for the regime. Contrary to North Korea's claims of releasing him on humanitarian grounds, the prevailing belief now is that the regime's intention was merely to prevent his death within their borders. The repercussions of this incident appear to offer little benefit to North Korea, while the evident losses are substantial. The tourism sector, which Kim Jong-un aimed to develop, is likely to suffer, particularly in terms of American visitors. Annually, around 5,000 Westerners travel to North Korea, with approximately 1,000 of them originating from the United States. Following the imprisonment of 2 US journalists in 2009, a total of 14 Americans have been detained in North Korea, leaving 3 currently incarcerated. Amid these events, Young Pioneer Tours, the agency responsible for Warmbier's trip, has already declared that they will no longer include American tourists in their future expeditions. The US government may potentially impose measures to dissuade or prohibit travel to North Korea, similar to previous restrictions on visiting Cuba, which could soon be reinstated. Notably, every tourist spending money in North Korea indirectly supports the regime's operations, including its nuclear and missile programs, given that all tour operators within North Korea are affiliated with the state. While some suggest that tourism could foster cultural exchange and mutual respect, it is interesting to observe that the US government expressed its intent in 1998 to facilitate group travel and exchanges with North Korea, reflecting support for policies of reconciliation with South Korea. Tourism and interactions with North Korea remain a topic shrouded in uncertainty when it comes to their beneficial outcomes. Over a significant period, discussions have occurred intermittently between representatives from North Korea and the United States, involving both current and former governmental figures in unofficial capacities. Recent dialogues have centered on critical issues such as the situation of American prisoners in North Korea, all while North Korea persists in its advancements in nuclear and missile tests, demonstrating a heightened level of technical sophistication. The advocates within the United States, supporting diplomatic discussions with North Korea, now find themselves navigating an even more challenging landscape following the tragic passing of Warmbier. The outlook for official US engagement with North Korea appears increasingly grim, particularly as the current administration would be reluctant to extend any concessions to a regime whose actions resulted in the death of one of its citizens. In the intricate dynamics of the North Korean power structure, it is plausible that certain factions within the regime advocated for the release of Otto Warmbier long before his health reached a critical state, while more rigid elements resisted until his condition became irreversible. It is widely acknowledged that the North Korean healthcare system falls significantly short of meeting Western standards. However, delving into the rationale behind North Korea's decisions at that juncture remains purely conjectural. It is only through speculation that we can attempt to comprehend the underlying factors. It is conceivable that the true motives and deliberations that culminated in the tragic demise of Warmbier will only come to light if someday the archives of the North Korean secret police are unveiled. This potential revelation holds the promise of shedding light on the circumstances and decisions that ultimately led to the fateful outcome. Mysterious objects seen flying inside this volcano in Mexico. The Popocatépetl is an active stratovolcano that can be found in Mexico, and its name translates to Smoky Mountain. Once known primarily for its eruptions and geological significance, it has become the focus of countless reports describing strange objects and unexplained lights seen in its vicinity. What has puzzled many is the frequency and consistency with which these sightings occur, especially when captured by public webcams that monitor the volcano 24 hours a day. Observers have often explained away the phenomena as nothing more than ash or natural debris, yet others argue that what is being captured goes far beyond this. Glowing orbs and odd-shaped flying objects have frequently been seen not only hovering near the volcano, but reportedly flying directly into and out of it. Some of these events appear to defy explanation, glowing lights that move in calculated, intelligent patterns with speeds and maneuvers not consistent with anything known to be natural. One of the most discussed anomalies involves what some have mistaken for meteors. On certain nights, cameras have recorded what appears to be several meteor-like objects entering the volcano in rapid succession. Critics have pointed out that such repeated meteor strikes, all targeting the same geographical point in one night, stretch the limits of statistical probability. Adding to the mystery, the glowing objects often do not resemble meteors at all. Rather than burning out quickly or following the traditional arc of a falling space rock, they instead moved deliberately, occasionally appearing to stop mid-air or change direction, both of which are traits inconsistent with falling debris. This has caused a wave of speculation across various online communities and forums. Amateur researchers have labeled this volcano a hotspot for unexplained aerial phenomena. Reports suggest that sightings occur several times a year, and those are just the ones that are recorded on camera. Residents living near the area have added their own accounts, claiming to have witnessed glowing lights hovering above the crater, often describing them as if they are somehow inspecting or interacting with the volcano itself. One of the most frequently seen types of objects is the glowing orb, often spherical in shape and emitting its own light. These orbs are among the most commonly reported unidentified objects globally, and they tend to appear as blurry or glowing spots on camera, making them difficult to study in detail. What stands out, however, is that these glowing orbs seem to be particularly concentrated around this one volcano, much more so than any other known volcanic location on the planet. This has led some to suggest that the orbs may be drawn to something specific within the volcano, whether natural, energetic, or perhaps something still unknown to science. The debate about why this location attracts so much unexplained activity remains ongoing. Some suggest geological energy could be responsible, theorizing that intense magnetic or seismic activity could somehow interact with these objects. Others lean toward more speculative ideas, including the possibility that these objects are conducting surveillance or research of their own. Regardless of the theory, the consistency and clarity of the sightings have made this location one of the most active and puzzling sites of unexplained aerial activity anywhere in the world. As long as these strange lights continue to appear, and as long as the webcams continue capturing them, this volcano will remain a place of fascination for those who believe that there may be more to our skies, and perhaps even our planet, than meets the eye. A mysterious apparition seen during live TV. While reporting live on the morning news, journalist Sam Hesler was covering a story from Greenridge Cemetery, a historic burial ground located in Saratoga County. The segment focused on the cemetery's twilight tours, which are known for their spooky ambience and storytelling. As the segment aired, everything appeared to be running smoothly, with Sam standing in front of a quiet section of the cemetery, describing the tour experience to early morning viewers. However, not long after the broadcast ended, a viewer reached out to Sam with a startling observation. The individual claimed that during the live segment, something unusual had appeared behind her, something that did not seem to be a part of the natural surroundings. Curious and slightly unnerved, Sam reviewed the footage. What she and many others saw has since become the center of a local mystery. In the background, to the left of where Sam had been standing, a faint, misty figure appeared to rise near one of the headstones. The shape was translucent and seemed to take on a human-like form before quickly dissipating. Those who viewed the footage began to suggest that what was seen was not a trick of light or camera glitch, but a ghostly apparition. The timing and location of the appearance, within a cemetery already associated with eerie stories, only added fuel to the speculation. The mystery of the bird surveillance drones. A curious incident in Somalia recently captured the attention of both local residents and online observers when a strange object was discovered on the ground near a rural area. What appeared at first glance to be an injured or fallen bird was, upon closer inspection, revealed to be a crashed drone, one that had been carefully crafted to resemble a bird. The unusual sighting quickly sparked speculation and concern, as this was not the kind of drone typically seen on the market or in civilian settings. The object, found on the 1st of May, displayed features designed to mimic a real bird. It was painted entirely black, with artificial wings on either side. The wings were even programmed to flap during flight, adding to the illusion. However, these wings were only aesthetic. The drone's actual movement through the air was powered by small propellers, cleverly concealed to avoid detection. It was this blend of bird-like appearance and mechanical flight technology that gave the drone a stealthy, camouflaged presence in the sky. Upon further inspection of the fallen drone, locals began to form a theory about its purpose and origin. Many believe that it was created and deployed by the Somali National Intelligence and Security Agency. The leading assumption is that the device was intended for covert surveillance. Disguising a drone as a bird would allow it to fly over areas without raising suspicion. In regions where real birds are a common sight, such a device could easily go unnoticed, unless something, as in this case, caused it to malfunction and crash. Why a bird-like drone was used instead of a more conventional surveillance device remains unclear. The reasons could range from avoiding detection during high-stakes operations to gathering intelligence in areas where traditional surveillance would be too obvious. As for what caused the crash, that too is a mystery. It could have been a technical fault, interference, or even weather-related. No definitive cause has been identified. What adds to the intrigue is the drone's unique design. Attempts to compare it to commercially available bird drones have not yielded any matches. While there are hobbyist and novelty drones made to resemble birds, none of them match the specifications or complexity of the drone found in Somalia. The lack of an identifiable manufacturer has led many to believe that the device was custom-built, possibly by a military or intelligence agency. This strange event raises more questions than answers. Was the drone monitoring a specific target? Was it part of a larger operation? Or could there be more of these bird-like drones flying undetected in other regions? The lack of official acknowledgement or explanation has only deepened the mystery surrounding the incident. While the exact mission or creator of the drone remains unknown, its discovery serves as a reminder of how surveillance technology continues to evolve. In an age where drones can be made to look like birds, it becomes increasingly difficult to distinguish between the natural and the artificial. For now, the people of Somalia, and observers around the world, are left to wonder what else might be watching from above, hidden in plain sight. The mysterious encounter involving Yang Liwei. Yang Liwei holds the distinguished title of being the first person sent into space by China. His historic journey aboard the Shenzhou 5 spacecraft marked a significant milestone on the 15th of October in the year 2003, as China became the third independent nation to successfully send a human into space. While the mission was celebrated as a technological and political achievement, it also carried with it an unexplained mystery that has puzzled scientists and space enthusiasts ever since. During his time in orbit, Yang Liwei reported hearing a strange and unsettling noise. He described it as a knocking sound, something that resembled someone tapping on the body of the spacecraft. What made the incident particularly perplexing was that the sound did not appear to come from either outside or inside the cabin. Yang looked through the spacecraft's viewing portal in hopes of seeing something that might explain the odd knocking, but he found nothing unusual. The mystery of the sound lingered with him even after his safe return to Earth. Back on the ground, Yang collaborated with leading scientists in an attempt to solve the riddle. Experts from various fields examined the incident in depth. One theory, presented by Professor Goh Che-Hyang of the National University of Singapore, suggested that the noise may have been the result of something physical hitting the spacecraft, such as a piece of floating space debris. However, there was no definitive evidence to support this idea. Another expert, Wei Seng So, offered a different explanation. He proposed that the knocking could have been caused by the natural expansion and contraction of the spacecraft's materials due to the extreme temperature changes in orbit. As the external surface of the spacecraft shifts between intense heat and extreme cold, it may produce creaking or knocking sounds. Still, no one could say with certainty what the true cause of the noise was. Adding another layer to the mystery, similar knocking sounds were reported during subsequent Chinese space missions, including those in 2005 and 2008. These recurring events suggest that the phenomenon might be related to the structural or mechanical aspects of Chinese spacecraft. Despite this, no pattern has been definitively confirmed, and the mystery remains open. While these sounds have not led to any known malfunctions or safety concerns, they continue to be a source of fascination and speculation. Many people believe that space should be utterly silent, given the lack of air or water particles through which sound can travel. Yet, stories from astronauts over the years reveal that hearing sounds in space is not as rare as commonly assumed. One famous example occurred during the Apollo mission in the year 1969. During a test flight around the Moon, astronauts heard a bizarre audio transmission that they later described as space music. The recording, which remained classified for decades, was eventually made public and has added to the curiosity surrounding strange audio phenomena in space. Some speculate that the sounds heard by Yang Liwei may be the result of natural spacecraft behavior or internal environmental changes. Others, however, allow room for more mysterious interpretations. There are those who wonder whether the knocking sounds might hint at forces beyond current human understanding, perhaps even attempts at communication by unknown entities. These ideas, though speculative, reflect the awe and wonder that space continues to inspire. Yang, who later became a major general in China's Air Force, has never heard anything like the knocking sounds again in all his years of service. Whether it was a purely mechanical occurrence or something more mysterious, the experience remains a standout moment from his pioneering mission. The mystery of the Shenzhou 5 knocking continues to invite curiosity, and it may be many years before the true cause is ever fully understood. Scientists discover that this mysterious three-fingered mummy was pregnant. In a discovery that has sparked both fascination and debate around the world, researchers have unveiled a remarkable finding: a pregnant Nazca mummy named Montserrat. Unearthed from the Nazca region of Peru, this ancient specimen is unlike any seen before. Within the preserved body, scientists identified a developing entity that appeared to possess the same unique characteristics as other Nazca mummies. Most notably, a tridactyl form, meaning it had 3 fingers. The presence of this developing body within Montserrat has led to a flurry of scientific inquiry and renewed questions about the origins and nature of these mysterious beings. The tridactyl trait, 3 elongated fingers, has become a defining feature of the Nazca mummies, setting them apart from any known human species. Researchers have noted that the fetal form inside Montserrat also shared this distinct anatomical structure, suggesting that the developing entity belonged to the same species as its host. This pregnancy discovery is unprecedented and adds a new layer of complexity to an already puzzling case. When the individuals who discovered the specimens first came forward, their claims were met with skepticism. However, several months later, they testified before the Mexican Congress to share their experiences and provide further data. Backed by new research, they claimed that more than 30% of the DNA collected from the specimens did not match any known species on Earth. This genetic anomaly, coupled with the biological consistency of the mummies, has kept scientists and the public deeply intrigued. Adding credibility to the testimony, a group of independent researchers has confirmed that the mummified remains are biologically authentic. The bodies, including Montserrat, do not show signs of artificial assembly or fabrication. Their skeletal structures, tissues, and internal compositions all appear to be naturally formed without indications of manipulation. This conclusion significantly counters claims that the mummies are hoaxes or modern creations. The discovery of Montserrat being pregnant has been viewed by many scientists as a critical turning point. Until now, the possibility that the mummies were assembled or altered in recent history remained on the table. But the presence of a fetus in the process of gestation within the body strongly suggests a biological life cycle. This not only indicates that the being was living at one point, but also that it reproduced or was capable of doing so. Such findings support the idea that these entities may have once formed a sustainable population. Currently, scientists from the United States are conducting additional studies to better understand the biological makeup and potential origin of the Nazca mummies. They are running advanced genetic tests and scanning the remains for further clues that could confirm or challenge the current conclusions. As this work continues, the scientific community remains divided, with some urging caution and others pushing for further exploration into the possibility of an unknown or even extraterrestrial species. Regardless of the ultimate outcome, the discovery of Montserrat, particularly in a pregnant state, has already changed the conversation. The mystery of Leah Roberts. Leah Toby Roberts was a vibrant and free-spirited young woman whose mysterious disappearance in the spring of the year 2000 has left both investigators and her family with more questions than answers. Born on the 23rd of July, 1976, in Durham, North Carolina, Leah was the youngest of 3 children in a loving but ultimately tragedy-stricken family. Her early years were marked by joy and curiosity, but in her late teens and early 20s, she experienced a series of life-altering losses and hardships that reshaped her outlook on life. Her father was diagnosed with a chronic respiratory illness while Leah was still in high school. Shortly after, she enrolled at North Carolina State University, where she majored in anthropology and Spanish. Tragedy struck again on the 5th of February 1997, when Leah's mother passed away suddenly due to heart complications. Then, in the fall of 1998, Leah was in a serious car crash that resulted in a shattered femur and a punctured lung. A metal rod had to be implanted in her leg to support the healing process. Despite the severity of the accident, she emerged from recovery with a renewed appreciation for life. She told her sister that the experience had left her feeling born again. But another devastating loss came just months later, when her father passed away on the 19th of April, 1999. Having now lost both parents within 2 years, Leah's life shifted. Her siblings described her as feeling lost, and she made the decision to leave school just 3 months short of graduation. In the months that followed, Leah found comfort in creative pursuits, learning to play guitar, writing poetry, taking photographs, and adopting a kitten, whom she named B. She also began engaging in deep philosophical discussions and became increasingly interested in the writings of Jack Kerouac. His novel, The Dharma Bums, particularly inspired her, and she started expressing a desire to embark on a soul-searching road trip. On the morning of the 9th of March, 2000, Leah spoke with her sister Cara. They talked about life, uncertainty, and made plans to see each other soon. That afternoon, Leah agreed to help her roommate Nicole babysit the following day, but when Nicole returned home later that evening, Leah and her Jeep were gone. At first, this didn't seem concerning, as Leah often came and went on her own schedule. But when she failed to show up for the babysitting commitment the next day and couldn't be reached by phone, alarm bells started ringing. By the 13th of March, Cara reported her missing. A search of Leah's room revealed that she had taken clothing and her kitten. A note left behind expressed positivity and included enough money to cover a month's rent and bills. Drawn on the outside was a Cheshire Cat smile, a nod to Alice in Wonderland, a story Leah loved, though her sister couldn't help but wonder if it symbolized something deeper. Leah's bank records later showed she had withdrawn thousands of dollars and used her card to pay for a hotel room in Memphis, Tennessee. Subsequent charges for food and gas were made across several states, the last being in Brooks, Oregon, on the 13th of March. Surveillance footage at a gas station there showed Leah alone, calm, and not appearing to be in distress. She looked out toward the parking lot before making a transaction, a detail that continues to spark speculation. On the 18th of March, 5 days after her last financial activity, a couple discovered Leah's Jeep at the bottom of a steep embankment near Canyon Creek Road in the Mount Baker Snoqualmie National Forest in Washington state. The vehicle appeared to have rolled several times, and based on the damage, police believed that anyone inside would have been badly injured. Yet there was no sign of Leah, no blood, and no indication of injury. Oddly, blankets and pillows had been used to cover the windows, possibly to turn the Jeep into a makeshift shelter. Scattered around the area were Leah's guitar, passport, checkbook, CDs, and personal items. Some of her clothes were found tied to trees, and a small amount of male DNA was discovered. Leah's kitten was missing, though her carrier and food remained in the vehicle. Even more puzzling was the discovery of her late mother's engagement ring beneath the floor mat, an item she always wore and deeply treasured. A camera was also found, but the undeveloped film only showed pictures taken months earlier. No photos from her road trip had been taken. A short time later, a restaurant in Bellingham, Washington, confirmed that Leah had spoken with 2 men at the counter on the 13th of March. She had discussed her journey and her admiration for Jack Kerouac. One man claimed she left alone, while the other said she left with someone named Barry. Police produced a sketch of Barry, but no other witness recalled seeing such a person, casting doubt on the claim. Suspicion grew when it was revealed that one of the men was a mechanic. Though authorities interviewed him, his fingerprint did not match one later found under the hood of Leah's Jeep. That fingerprint, discovered years later in 2006, was a turning point in the case. A new team of detectives examined the vehicle and found that the Jeep's starter relay wire had been deliberately cut, meaning it could have been set into motion without anyone in the driver's seat. This pointed to the possibility that the crash had been staged by someone with knowledge of car mechanics. Additionally, a credible yet incomplete tip was called in a week after the Jeep was discovered. A man claimed his wife saw Leah in Everett, Washington, disoriented and unable to say her name. The caller ended the call abruptly, and for reasons still unclear, investigators have never publicly followed up on the sighting. Despite a large-scale search using helicopters, dogs, and metal detectors to trace the rod in her leg, no trace of Leah was found in the surrounding wilderness. Her disappearance remains one of the Pacific Northwest's most haunting unsolved mysteries. More than 2 decades later, Leah Roberts' story continues to spark speculation and heartbreak. Was she the victim of a chance encounter gone wrong? Did someone she met on her journey take advantage of her trust? Or, in her search for meaning and peace, did she choose to vanish on her own terms? Until answers emerge, the mystery of Leah Roberts remains suspended between possibility and silence, an echo of a journey never fully understood, taken by a young woman determined to rediscover life in the wild beauty of the unknown. Jim Thompson, an American businessman and former military officer, is a name synonymous with the revival of the Thai silk industry in the mid-20th century. His efforts not only brought global recognition to Thai silk, but also played a crucial role in preserving the craft during a time when it was on the brink of extinction. However, Thompson's legacy is shadowed by one of the most enduring mysteries of the 20th century, his sudden and unexplained disappearance in the Cameron Highlands of Malaysia on 26th of March, 1967. Despite extensive searches and numerous theories, the fate of Jim Thompson remains unsolved, leaving behind a fascinating enigma that continues to captivate the world. Born in 1906 in Greenville, Delaware, Jim Thompson was a man of diverse interests and talents. He studied architecture at Princeton University and later worked as an architect in New York City. During World War II, Thompson joined the Office of Strategic Services, the precursor to the CIA, and was stationed in Southeast Asia, where he developed a deep fascination with the region's culture and traditions. After the war, Thompson settled in Thailand and became involved in the country's silk industry, which at the time was a cottage industry on the verge of collapse. Recognizing the beauty and potential of Thai silk, he dedicated himself to reviving the craft. In 1948, he founded the Thai Silk Company, which quickly gained international acclaim. Thompson's keen eye for design, combined with his marketing skills, transformed Thai silk into a luxury fabric coveted by fashion designers and customers worldwide. By the 1950s and 1960s, Thompson had become a prominent figure in Thailand, earning the moniker the Silk King. He was also a well-known socialite, hosting lavish parties at his Bangkok home, which itself became a tourist attraction known as the Jim Thompson House. The house, a stunning blend of traditional Thai architecture and Western comforts, showcased his love for Southeast Asian art and culture. Jim embarked on a brief weekend holiday in March 1967 to visit a friend's residence, the Moonlight Bungalow, located in the scenic 5,000-foot-high rainforest of the Cameron Highlands in central Malaysia. On the Sunday of Easter, March 26th, he attended church, had lunch with his hosts and a companion, and then took a stroll in the afternoon while they were taking a nap. The most extensive land search in Southeast Asia was conducted, involving hundreds of individuals working full-time for 11 days. This search included Malay Police Field Force officers, Thai police, Malaysian Army personnel, British Army volunteers, US Army observers, Boy Scouts, patients from a local hospital, Orang Asli indigenous native trackers, the world's most renowned mystic, and over 118 local mystics. One scholar posits that the solution to Thompson's mystery could be found in certain bone fragments unearthed in the Cameron Highlands in 1985. The skeletal remains, devoid of the cranium, were unearthed by Orang Asli squatters in a burial site situated on the periphery of a vegetable field by the major thoroughfare in Brinh Chang. Master Mariner Captain Philip J. Rivers reported that he was informed of the finding by a health officer during his investigation into Thompson's disappearance in 2007. Upon collecting the fragments, the authorities established no link to Thompson's disappearance in Tanah Rata, as they were discovered in Brinh Chang. The likelihood is that his body remained undetected in the dense vegetation, concealed within an unmarked burial site following a hit-and-run incident. Rivers stated that a DNA test conducted on the bones could potentially offer a more comprehensive response. Thus far, there has been no definitive verification that the bones are the legitimate remains of Thompson. Rivers also states that the bones are currently stored in a secure and protected location. As of right now, his disappearance remains a mystery. The mystery of the Vimana, a mythological flying palace or chariot described in Hindu texts. The concept of advanced flying machines is often considered a product of modern science fiction, but ancient Hindu texts tell a different story. According to these texts, Vimana were flying palaces or chariots used by gods and legendary figures capable of traveling vast distances through the air. Described in astonishing detail in ancient scriptures such as the Vedas, Mahabharata, and Ramayana, these vehicles are depicted with features and capabilities that eerily resemble modern aircraft and even spaceships. Some researchers and enthusiasts believe that the accounts of Vimana could be more than just myth. They could be evidence of early UFO sightings, or even advanced technology possessed by ancient civilizations. The word Vimana in Sanskrit generally means a vehicle or craft, and it is most commonly associated with flying machines. These flying machines are prominently featured in several ancient Hindu texts, with descriptions that vary in detail and purpose. In the Ramayana, for example, the Pushpaka Vimana is described as a flying palace that belonged to the demon king Ravana. This Vimana was said to be capable of flying at great speeds and could travel to any place on Earth at the command of its owner. It was large enough to accommodate Ravana's entire court, suggesting that it was not only a means of transport, but also a symbol of power and luxury. Similarly, the Mahabharata, another ancient epic, contains references to Vimana used in battles, where they are depicted as highly maneuverable and equipped with weapons of great power. These texts describe the Vimana as capable of moving vertically, horizontally, and even disappearing from sight, which some interpret as evidence of advanced propulsion systems and cloaking technology. Other ancient texts, such as the Vedas and various Puranas, also mention Vimana, often in the context of divine or semi-divine beings, using them to travel between Earth and the heavens. The Samarangana Sutradhara, a 12th century Sanskrit treatise on architecture, dedicates several chapters to the construction and operation of Vimana, detailing materials, designs, and even instructions for their use. For those who believe in the possibility of ancient UFOs, the descriptions of Vimana in Hindu texts are compelling. The detailed accounts of these flying machines, with their advanced capabilities, suggest that they may have been more than just products of the imagination. Some researchers theorize that Vimana could have been real, physical machines, perhaps remnants of a lost civilization with advanced technology, or even the result of contact with extraterrestrial beings. One popular theory is that ancient civilizations, including those in India, may have been visited by extraterrestrial beings who shared their technology with humans. The Vimana, according to this theory, could have been advanced aircraft provided by these beings, or reverse-engineered by humans who were taught or inspired by these visitors. The notion that ancient texts might contain descriptions of alien technology is not new, and the Vimana are often cited as key evidence in this argument. Supporters of this theory point to the precise descriptions of the Vimana's capabilities, such as the ability to fly at great speeds, hover, and travel vast distances, characteristics that align with modern descriptions of UFOs. They also highlight the fact that these texts were written thousands of years ago, long before the invention of aircraft, suggesting that the knowledge of such technology must have come from an external source. The Pushpaka Vimana, as described in the Ramayana, is perhaps the most famous of all the Vimana. This flying palace, which originally belonged to Kubera, the god of wealth, was taken by Ravana and later used by Lord Rama to return to his kingdom after defeating Ravana in battle. The Pushpaka Vimana is described as a magnificent vehicle, capable of flying through the sky at the speed of thought, guided by mental commands rather than physical controls. The description of the Pushpaka Vimana includes intricate details about its construction and features, such as its ability to expand and contract, its luxurious interiors, and its smooth, silent flight. These descriptions have led some researchers to speculate that the Pushpaka Vimana was not just a mythological creation, but a real aircraft, possibly powered by advanced technology that has since been lost to history.